Welcome back. Good evening. Looking forward to diving in with you guys tonight again and hearing some more amazing stories, hopefully. For those who are new here, this is a new live stream called Anonymous Live. This is number 10. Been doing these for a couple weeks now. If you've been seeing these pop up in your feed and you're still not sure what they are, this is a place where we take anonymous callers live and just hear amazing stories from people going through really difficult, severe experiences, or from people who need to confess something anonymously, just get something off their chest. And, if you're still confused after that, I would invite you to take a moment and reflect on all in your life that you have to be grateful for. Of course, we all have things like this to be grateful for. But each night we take calls and hear these stories from just these incredible people, these unbelievable stories from people going through so much, just pouring their hearts out. And it's just so inspiring, and it brings us all together in a really meaningful way. And it has been growing into this beautiful community of people just listening, and it just helps us all feel a little more human. We just launched a new Discord server, which has been awesome to see turning into kind of an extension of this live stream when we're not actually live. It's already buzzing with a bunch of people sharing things, supporting each other, getting ideas on more common issues, and just talking through things, and it's just beautiful. It's amazing. It's everything I hoped that this would turn into. It's still early days, still new, brand new actually, but it's just really amazing to see everybody coming together to build this beautiful community. Thank you all who have been supporting this stream so far in the chat with the callers. I've been working in tandem with the chat for these calls to, just some callers call in and they want to just vent, and other callers, like, they want some ideas or they want to process something, and the chat and I work in tandem to do that for each caller. So thank you to all of you who have been here for, there's some of you who've, it seems like, have made every stream. There's a lot of familiar names I've seen in the chat. You guys mean so much to this format and to the overall theme of the show. That's what this whole thing is about. To those of you who have encouraged others to call in, we've had people call in who don't know anything about this channel or its history or anything, just total strangers calling in. Thank you to people who've encouraged people with amazing stories to call in and share. I know it's been inspiring for me to hear, and also for the chat. So thank you to you guys who are spreading the word about this for two people who need to talk. This is not therapy. I'm not a psychologist. This is not a substitute for therapy. It's just a place where we take phone calls for anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes, sometimes as long as an hour. Our longest call has been a little over an hour at this point, and just some of these stories, it's just like, there's so much. We just kind of just let the caller share what they're going to share, and we just listen. So thank you guys for supporting these callers. Thank you guys to who have been sharing on social media. You guys know I'm not the best at social media. I'm actually horrible at it. So if you guys feel so inclined to share this episode, that would be great. And I'm just looking forward to opening up these lines and seeing what we get into tonight. So I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick after that rant, make sure I'm not missing anything here, and then we'll open up the phone lines and start taking callers. I will flash this number up on the screen so you guys can prep your phones while I'm getting current with the chat. So this is the number you will be calling. I will be updating this user interface at some point. This is all just very new and just this wild experiment. And, there's been a bunch of good ideas I've seen on the Discord server and in the YouTube chat about ways to kind of streamline this screen here with helpful information for the callers, because some callers call in and they don't know what they're calling for, or they don't know what they're supposed to, what kind of calls we're looking for. We will be kind of honing this video screen here, the text and the graphical interface, to make sure that it's clearer with time. But these things will take time, so we're just kind of getting a slow start. But this is all very loose, you should know, if you're a new viewer. This is not this is a far cry from a TikTok video or a gaming stream. This is real life. This is about as real as it can get on a live stream. So buckle up. Okay. Looks like we're ready to dive in. Gonna get these phone lines opened. And we're gonna take our first caller. Here we go. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about a situation I'm going through with my mother.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess to start off, I haven't spoken to her in over 3 years due to a lot of things that have happened, like in our past.
Okay.
But
That's extreme.
yeah.
What happened?
Uh, well, for about 6 years, some lifestyle changes for our whole family happened, and I noticed, like almost immediately, she, uh, she like changed moods because she used to be such a great woman, loving, caring, and then she just turned cold, and it became a very toxic household.
Hmm. So this was a turn of events with her health? Is that right? Or am I
Yes, I
misunderstanding?
noticed, like deteriorating mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. What is she suffering from?
Well, she hasn't been diagnosed with anything because she was always resistant to go to a specialist or a doctor or anything.
Right.
But I believe it was just depression because she became very isolated, and that it kind of led to a lot of conflict, like just my parents always arguing, and it led to separation, divorce,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of things reflected onto myself and my sister through like abuse.
So you were abused by your mom?
Yes.
Wow. Physical abuse?
Physical and verbal.
Okay. What do you think? How old are you, first of all?
I'm 20.
You're 20. Yeah, that's a lot to
Yes.
unpack at that age.
Yeah.
Have you?
And this was going on since I started middle school.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done any research on what may be the problem? Do you have any guesses of what your mom may suffer from?
Well, um, I don't know exactly. From what I observed when I was still living with her, it was, I really can't pin an exact event that caused it, but I just remember it was a very sudden change.
Okay, so she wasn't
And
like
I
this when you
know
were a
there
little
were,
kid, it sounds like.
yeah, there was always like disagreements and stuff, but the arguing between my parents is how it all started, I would say. It was just, constant every day. That's all it was. And I believe my parents kept the family together for us children.
Right.
And I think that was like, I understand parents, they don't want to put their kids through a divorce, but sometimes that may be the better option.
I do believe there are cases where divorce is for the better. I was also raised in a home that thought divorce was something that you should never do under any circumstance. So it sounds like your situation was similar. I can relate with that.
Yeah.
Was there some? You mentioned that your mom's mental health just it seems like it randomly just started deteriorating, and that she just one day woke up a different person than you remembered her being from your childhood. Is is there anything that like was there any inciting incident, or like car wreck, or anything like that, or that you can pinpoint that preceded that, or is it just like completely out of the blue?
The closest thing I can think of is, well, my dad, he had married prior to marrying my mom, and he had a child with that woman as well. And we were very close to my half sister, and I'm assuming my mother never really liked them, but I believe when my half sister got pregnant for the first time, for some reason, my mother really did not like that.
Okay, so there was maybe some jealousy stuff from your father's former marriage. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe my mom, she kind of tried to take a parental role that, like, I always understand support, but she tried to basically control somebody who was close to their 30s.
She tried to control another adult?
Yes, my half sister, she was like, I think 25,
I see.
and my mom, she just kind of tried to take control and tried to change everything. She didn't want us seeing them. She tried to keep us away from them. And my dad, being my half sister's father, that led to a few disagreements. And I believe that's where it like started. And then many things with them increased those disagreements.
So tell me about what led you to go no contact with your mother. You mentioned you haven't talked to her in over 3
hmm
years. What was the journey like that led up to that, and what caused you to finally? I imagine that wasn't a slow process. What led you to finally go no contact with your mom?
Well, they had actually divorced a couple years before I stopped being in contact with my mom.
Okay.
And I was living my mom, she moved out, got an apartment, and I was back and forth between their places.
Okay.
So and the thing was, during this time it had already been years after just these conflict after conflicts, and my dad, he started struggling with alcohol, and my mom, she also started developing some bad habits. Some of it was alcohol, but most of it was just like, I don't know. She kind of abandoned the mother role. Like, I hardly ever saw her, and when I did see her, she just wasn't herself.
So did she get lost in some drugs or alcohol? Maybe is that? I mean, it doesn't matter. It's kind of a maybe a
She
moot point.
definitely alcohol, but
Yeah.
I can't prove any other things, but it was always new people, new places, and a lot of places I would actually get taken to, where she would just get intoxicated, and then I would just be stuck there as a middle schooler, just surrounded by adults that are partying,
Right.
and it wasn't a good situation.
Are you in contact with your dad?
Yes, I actually I live next to him. He has these rental buildings, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get one of those.
Okay. So, what have you talked to your dad about this? Have you opened up to him about your relationship with your mom, and what does he say?
Well, both of us kind of went through these situations together. My mom, uh, after a couple years of the disagreement, she tried to take over, and that's what led to the divorce. She overstepped her bounds, tried to set rules, tried to just completely alter our lives for the worse.
I see.
It was it was it was crazy. Like she was just controlling everything, always arguing, always yelling, never letting us, see other family, go places, and it was very toxic.
So I'm a little lost on what your dad makes of all this, or if you've opened up to him about it at all.
Mhm.
Um, does he
Oh
have
yes,
any?
I mean,
Has he been able to shed
we
any
talk
light?
about it all the time.
What does he say about your mom? About he might want to stay out of it. That would be understandable. So maybe he has said nothing, but um, has he had any helpful feedback for you about why your mom changed, or like maybe he saw that in her long ago, long before you did. Maybe you were young, maybe so maybe you weren't the best judge when you were younger. Maybe you, as a young
Mhm.
adult, first maybe that was just when you started noticing these things. I mean, I'm not doubting you that your story's the way you told it, of
Yeah,
course,
I
but
mean, I'm pretty sure things were going on when I was younger and I was just unaware. Like I've found out that the only reason my parents married was because my dad he had a bright future with this company that he still works for. He was told he was going to get a very large promotion. And after things went south, my mom confessed to me that the only reason she married him was for money.
wow.
Yeah.
Have you done any reading on you're you're calling in tonight, not your mom, so I'm more concerned about you, but
Mhm.
you're young, and it doesn't seem like you have any like direction here on where to look, and I'm wondering if you've done any reading on uh, psychopathy. And psychopathy is this loaded word. People think a psychopath means like you're a chainsaw murderer or something.
Mhm.
Like that's not true. Like psychopaths are everywhere. 15% of people are a psychopath. Um, 1 in 7 people is a
Yeah.
psychopath. These are people we walk by every day. These are people making our coffee at Starbucks. Not specifically Starbucks. That was not pointed at Starbucks, of course. But have you looked into that? Like, is it possible that your mom? I mean, those are some pretty bold statements. Like, she only married him for money. She's been abusive. She was trying to control your network. These are all staples for psychopaths. Like narcissists,
Mhm.
borderline
And
personality.
that's a point I was calling about. I haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
But I have some concerns about both her mental health and my mental health uh as a result of uh these situations because some very major things happened very close to when I stopped talking to her that I'll get to in a sec.
Okay.
Mhm.
So why don't you keep talking? It sounds like I'm maybe getting cart in front of the horse. How are you feeling? What would make this helpful? What do you want to talk about?
Well, the reason I'm calling is Uh, I mean, I've got to be honest, since I stopped talking to her, which, by the way, was the advice that I took from a therapist. She said, I need to get out of there,
Right.
which the therapist was right. These have been the best 3.5 years of my life. I've
Right.
gotten work. I've uh, gotten off of my depression medicine. I've
Great.
been working out. I've been eating better.
Awesome.
Been doing school.
Good for
I'm
you.
feeling great.
Good for you. Wow, you've really done that work. A lot of people don't do that. So I want to acknowledge that you've
Mhm.
done that, and commend you that you've done some very, very difficult work. A lot of people can't fathom not talking to a parent, much less going to therapy for what sounds like a long time to come to that conclusion, and really
Mhm.
wrestle with that. It sounds like you really wrestled with that decision. Um, so what else is
Yeah,
there?
it was very difficult. But my concern is I'm starting to notice a downward slope beginning to appear.
Okay.
I'm starting to notice some of the feelings that I was having when I was living with her and when I was going through my depression and stuff. Some of those feelings are returning, and I'm
Hmm.
not exactly sure like what's causing it, but it's leading to a lot of confusion because I have a lot of mental disorders, and I don't like to blame things, but
Right.
they weren't prevalent when I was much younger. They, started appearing throughout my teen years, and I'm hoping it's something I grow out of. But I'm starting to get paranoid. The depression is coming back. I'm starting to have like manic episodes, and it's just like I'm starting to think about her again, and she's
Right.
like always on my mind.
Mariah Burnell from the chat just said, I relate to this caller. I have a mom with similar mental issues. It never gets easier. It's so hard to see everyone around me have healthy relationship with their mom, while I feel so distant from mine. Um, I don't know if that's encouraging to hear that. I can also
It is.
I can third what she I can second
I
what she said.
sympathize with people that go through that. My best friend has a very similar situation, and us talking about it is
Good.
extremely therapeutic.
Good. I'm glad you have someone like that that knows what it's like to some extent. That's got to be so helpful. That's probably better than a
Yeah.
therapist sometimes. I
Mhm.
would imagine to have a friend that, you can't hang out with your therapist, nor would you want to. So, uh,
Yeah.
I think that's great. You have someone, you know, in your life that cares about you as a friend that knows what that's like. I'll also say that,
Mhm.
I want to hear more about what the experience is like for you, but you should know that your early 20s are a really rough time. Like, it's a natural time to go through depression and to, you're under so much at that age. You're trying to invent your life from nothing often. That's a really stressful time. In my opinion, it's a really uh, oversimplified time by older
Yeah.
people. Older people just think it's like, oh, yeah, your 20s, like try being 50 or something. It's like, come on,
Mhm.
can we acknowledge that your 20s are a rough time? My point is, you might just be going through some developmental stuff, and maybe
Mhm.
is it
That's what
possible?
I'm hoping a lot of it is.
Yeah, is it possible that you're looking for a reason for those things, and maybe you're guessing that it has something to do with your mom? Because you just told me that those last 3 years being no contact were the best years of your life.
Yes. They've been very healthy years, and I'm very happy both for me and my dad. My dad, has he's sober now, and he's done a very good job at
Good.
being a father because over the last few years, like prior or before the whole situation with my mom, he was just basically absent because he was just drinking.
I
And I'm
see.
very proud of him for getting out of that, and both of us got out of our situations together.
That's good. I'm glad too. Kelsey Johnson from the chat
Mhm.
says, the fact that he can recognize that he started. Wait, there's a typo, I think. The fact that he can recognize that he's starting to possibly fall back into depression or whatever it may be is really good. Maybe he's worried he's going to end up like his mom, but I don't think he will. Could it be that? Are you afraid of becoming your mom or something, or do you feel like maybe?
That is very accurate.
Okay,
I believe some of it is just the mental obsession that I have because of some of my conditions. But I'm terrified of becoming like her because I look in the mirror and all I see is her, and I notice I'm starting to mimic some of her behaviors. I'm always tempted to be manipulative and just I don't know. I'm noticing I'm acting like her.
well, I think that's great that you're aware of that. I mean, we all have elements of our parents in us. You're gonna get
Mhm.
you are your mom and your dad. That's what you are. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, uh, if your mom's a psychopath, that doesn't make you a psychopath. You can
Mhm.
still inherit things from your mom without being a psychopath. And you sound like somebody who's really aware that you just told me that you are scared because sometimes you get the impulse to manipulate someone. Like, that's not how a psychopath thinks. I'm not a professional psychologist, but I read a bunch of books on psychopaths, and
Mhm.
I've had a bunch of psychopaths in my very, very close relationships with a lot of psychopaths that have been difficult relationships for me. So psychopaths don't think about that stuff. They don't think about what it's like to think about manipulating someone. It's just all they know to do. So the fact that you're aware of it is a really good indicator. You don't.
Mhm.
It doesn't. I don't get the impression I'm talking to someone that is a psychopath. You seem way too self-aware. You're asking really deep. You have deep convictions about this. This is something that um, you're already aware of at age 20. I think that's a really healthy sign. And the
Mhm.
chat is with me on that.
Yeah, I do. All things given, I I really am glad that I've been through a situation like this because it's really helped me mature and understand people and the world, and that things aren't perfect, and I I feel like a better person, and I also feel like I'm better to people because I hate disappointing people, and I hate making other people feel bad because I know how it feels.
Right. Offcore
Mhm.
from the chat says, your self-reflection means you won't become like her. I'm going to say that again. Your self-reflection means you won't become like her. That's kind of what I'm saying. I think that's right.
Mhm.
Offcore also says, you are still you. We take on traits, but that doesn't make you who you are. Those traits don't make you who you are. Um, you are your mom and your dad, essentially. You're your whole lineage, but you're especially your mom and your dad. But it doesn't mean that um, you know you're going to become a psychopath. Like, you're aware of these things. That seems like a really healthy indicator to me. We haven't been talking very long. If you are worried about this, maybe
Mhm.
mention it to your therapist. You mentioned you've been in therapy. I mean, yeah, I guarantee you, if you this is a guarantee. If you if you ask your therapist about uh, this stuff, they're going to tell you the fact that you're asking this automatically discredits you. The fact that you're asking if you're a psychopath automatically discredits you from being one. That's what they're going to tell you. Guarantee. I'll bet
Mhm.
you. I'll bet you money.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident I'm not a psychopath, and that I'm pretty sure that these things will blow over. It's just recently, I've some things have been happening that have made a lot of the memories kind of spark up again about the couple years I dealt with living with my mom in her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's a situation I haven't brought up. My mom is well, she has a lot of family I was very close to,
Right.
and she basically turned everybody against me.
That is
So
what
everyone on
psychopaths
that
do.
side of the family is they believe her. They
Right.
believe everything she said, and they've turned them against me and my dad.
They call it a distortion field. The psychopath uses a reality distortion field, is how it's referred to in the Steve Jobs
Mhm.
biography by Walter Isaacson. I love that book. It's a fascinating portrait of Steve Jobs was probably a psychopath to some extent. I'm not sure if you read that book, but the reality distortion field was really helpful for me to read about. Again, having dealt with many psychopaths in my life that were very close to me, even family members. So they use that reality distortion field to change the story and control the narrative. And then they use this tactic called flying monkeys. This is like a clinical term that's been coined, flying monkeys, where they'll use all their people in their network to come check in on you and do their bidding, so that it doesn't seem like they're the one doing it. And a lot of them are very crafty at using those flying monkeys.
Mhm.
Does that resonate at all? Does that seem like what you could be in?
It definitely does.
Yeah, that seems.
Um,
Wow. I'm really sorry. That's rough.
yeah, it's rough. Uh, Especially I've hardly been in contact with a lot of very close relatives, grandparents, cousins, And just to think, like, some of the last times I spoke with them, they're telling me what I've done is horrible, because I've seen some of them after disassociating with my mom, and it's not even just family, it's people in the town I live in, people I don't even know come up to me and they talk to me about it, and I I usually just either ignore it or move along because I hate having to tell people like what she's really like.
Right. Yeah, you see, there you go. You're being very charitable and generous. Like you don't want to tarnish you. You have every reason, it sounds like, to level with everybody and defend yourself and tell the truth, but you
Mhm.
don't want to because it's your mom. That's very
Yeah.
generous of you. Goodness. Yeah.
Well, that's actually the main reason I was calling. It's actually something I haven't even told my therapist or my dad, friends, nobody. This is the first time I've ever spoken of this. The reason I don't tell people, and uh I haven't told anybody, is because I don't want it to go back to her,
Right.
because there was a certain situation that we were in that initiated her moving out, that
She
it
moved out?
really
Your mom
struck
moved
some
out?
fear in me. I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm trying to understand. You said your mom moved out?
Yes, my mom moved out.
Okay.
But I was still I basically started living with her in her apartment. But
I see.
the situation that caused her to move out, there was a disagreement between my mom and dad, and my dad left the house because he had to go do something, and my mom, I guess she was more pissed than usual. She goes and grabs my dad's gun and says he's not coming back in this house or I'll kill him, and
Oh my goodness.
stuff like that. She was trying to say that the house was hers, and yeah, screw my dad. So I actually I didn't feel safe, so I ran out of the house and I made it a couple miles down the road. She came after me in a car,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I ran into the woods.
No way. Oh my gosh.
It was traumatic because I think I was 16 or 17.
Right, I was just going to say this must have been when you were still a teenager. My goodness.
Mhm.
You have you must have been so scared. The last several
I was
years must have been
terrified.
horrifying.
But the reason I bring it up is because well, I managed to get my dad to come get me, and neither of us would go in the house. We were scared of what she would do. So we tried calling her. We called her so many times, and she finally picked up once, and she just said, "I'm just going to kill myself." And then she hung up, and she would not answer her phone. But us being too scared to go in, we ended up calling the authorities and had some police come. And when she noticed there were police cars outside, she dropped, she put the gun where it was, all that. The police came and talked to her, took her away because, if you say you're suicidal, they gotta like evaluate you and
Right.
stuff. And then, then she moved out. The thing is, we never told the cops that she had a gun. I never even told my dad that. And the only thing he knows is that she said she was gonna kill herself. And that's the thing. I believe if she finds out that people know who she is, she'll do that. And I don't want that kind of guilt on me.
Well, I will say first and foremost that would not be on you. Uh, that would be on the truth. And you
Mhm.
deserve to have the truth be known. You can't go you're going to outlive your parents. You can't. I mean, most likely, like there are obviously I'm not a fortune teller, but the most likely scenario is that kids outlive their parents, and you have your whole life in front of you. Is my point. Like you can't go all that time under
Mhm.
this cloud of lies. Um, you also, I would imagine, don't want to um, feel like you're in some kind of fight with your mom.
Mhm.
Uh, do you think there's a way to conduct yourself with people in sharing about your story that would allow you to make the truth be known, to let the truth be known, without starting a fight or a war, you know?
Yeah. It's like walking on eggshells. It's very
Right.
difficult to figure out the right thing to say to people. It it's just, I haven't spoken to her in 3.5 years, but she still manages to get back into my life, whether it's sending me a letter or, sending a friend in after me, or, she always tries to get involved. And the reason is she hates that people know that her son won't talk to her.
Right.
She's trying to protect her image,
So you
and
just,
I fully believe that.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
You just said you felt like you were walking on eggshells, which is a really common term used for
Mhm.
people with a really close relationship to usually a narcissist, but any kind of psychopath. That's what they do. They make you feel uncomfortable talking. They make you feel like you are walking on eggshells.
Mhm.
So there's a couple book recommendations I want to make to you. There's a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells.
Mhm.
The subtitle of the book is Taking Your Life Back When Someone You Care About Has Borderline Personality Disorder. Now, it's specific to people with borderline personality disorder, and I know your mom hasn't been diagnosed yet, but this is also a famous psychology joke. They found that after all this research on narcissists, not any exist. There's actually not been any diagnosed narcissists because none of them will come get tested.
Mhm.
It's this very dark joke, but it's true. It's like these, most people with a
Yeah.
personality disorder are not going to go get tested because they know how it's going to end up. And so, you're in a really tough spot because your mom won't change. If she is a psychopath, first of all, you may never know for sure. She may never pursue a
Mhm.
diagnosis, but also, you can't live your life under this cloud that you're under right now. And you're fortunate that you're young and you're this far along in figuring it out. That actually, you should feel very hopeful about that, in my opinion, because a lot of people
Mhm.
don't identify that they're dealing with a psychopath until much later in life. And then it's much trickier because you've established an adult relationship. You have the advantage of transitioning into your new adult life, and your mom is, psychopath or not, she has to be aware that you're coming into your own and that the relationship dynamics will naturally change with time. So you have that going for you that you're doing this work now. And so a lot of this, if your relationship with your mom, I know you mentioned you're not talking to her at all. I don't know if that, I'm not going to weigh in on a short phone call like this on whether or not I think,
Mhm.
I'm not even going to highlight anything from the chat about that because that's really sensitive and I don't want to, weigh in on. I don't want to mess up your life. I don't on a short phone call. This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
But the point is that
Mhm.
you do have a lot of things going for you, and you can't, whether you have a relationship with your mom or not, you're doing this at a really good time. You're doing this work at a really young age, and I think that's very respectable. It shows a lot of character on your part. So I want to recommend Stop Walking on Eggshells. I'm going to throw this into the chat here as well because I know that the chat likes to go look at these as well. I'm going to throw up some good
Mhm. And I'll
reads.
definitely look at the chat.
Great. Yeah, highly recommend that. And then there's another book and then a third resource I want to mention after I do this. This is the book going into the chat right here. And sorry about that delay there. The other book that was really helpful for me is called Psychopath Free. This is an amazing book, and I have it somewhere in this house, but it's not immediately available. I wish I could just show you the hard copy, but I'll also throw this into the chat. The title is Psychopath
Mhm.
Free: Recovering from Emotionally Abusive Relationships with Narcissists, Sociopaths, and Other Toxic People. So, yeah, and I apologize. I think I've been using sociopath and psychopath interchangeably a little bit. I apologize. But yeah, sociopaths are
Mhm.
that umbrella term that I'm using. And this is, I really want you to check out Psychopath Free at least. I don't know how much of a reader you are. Do you read books? There's an audio book actually on Psychopath Free.
Oh yes, I love reading.
Okay, great. Those are two solid books that therapists have recommended to me, and I actually found Psychopath Free on my own, but Walking on Eggshells was recommended to me. Stop Walking on Eggshells, rather, was recommended to me by a therapist. Amazing book. Psychopath Free is amazing, and Psychopath Free, the author of that book, also has a website community called Psychopath Free, specifically for people going through your exact situation, and it's just a forum of people sharing stories about and difficult decisions about people in their life with suffering from sociopathy. So I highly recommend checking out all of those resources. I'm putting
Mhm.
this into the chat as well now.
Yeah, and I'll go back on what you said earlier about how she likely won't change, and I do sadly believe that. But that's basically the condition. I'm not putting a definitive pin on me not talking to her. I would gladly talk to her and have a relationship with her again. All I want to see is change. I want to see that she's bettering herself and being better to other people, and so far, I've been very disappointed.
Yeah, she probably, uh, if she is a narcissist or has some kind of
Mhm.
psychopathy, she's probably not going to change. And furthermore, the older we get, the harder change is. You know that phrase, you can't, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So, your mom, I'm
Mhm.
assuming, is, you know, um, at a stage in life where even if she was completely mentally healthy, change is, and you can't expect your parents to change even if they're healthy. But a
Yeah.
psychopath is relentlessly unchangeable. There's just not much hope for a psychopath. It's like it's one of the biggest mysteries. And I'm not qualified to say that. I only know that because, again, this is a very deep personal experience that it's also clouded my life for uh, my whole life. So I've heard that from other people, other psychologists and whatnot. You can't change them. It's a mystery. It's one of the world's greatest puzzles, and it's really a sad thing because, again, like there are so many out there. 15% of people are a psychopath. Um, so it's
Mhm.
uh, what would make this helpful for you? I mean, you just shared a lot. Are you okay? Or you sound
Yeah.
good. You sound well conducted, and you sound healthy. You sound intelligent, and you sound very generous.
Yeah, I'm okay, and I definitely I know things are gonna get better in a little bit, and I'm about to move out, and I'm just really ready to get away from the situation physically. It's just I don't know. There's mental issues that I can't necessarily control
Right?
that just sneak their way back in, especially in the form of dreams. I have really bad sleeping disorders. I either
Oh,
can't sleep, or when I do sleep, I have terrible dreams about uh either her doing terrible things or me doing terrible things to her, and they just kind of manifest into my head, and that's all I can think about, and they're very distracting.
you might have some PTSD if you were abused as a kid. That would be only to be expected. Uh, I hope you don't beat yourself
Yeah,
up for
and
having
with
dreams like that. You can't control those things, obviously.
I don't anymore. I don't let it affect me any more than mentally. Back when I was in middle school and high school, I was doing all sorts of things to cope that I'm not very proud of. I sought after anything I could to take the edge off, and I'm very disappointed that I did that.
Right. Well, it's good that you've recognized that, and it's good that you got that out of your system when your body was young and springy
Mm-hmm.
and could take it. I wouldn't beat yourself up too
Yeah,
much about any of this.
I honestly don't think I could take it anymore.
You're still young. You're 20. I'm not telling you to go do drugs. Please don't.
Yeah.
uh, but so what else is there? Did you just want to get that off your chest and share with all of us, or was there some kind of? We've recommended a few resources. I've highlighted a couple
Yeah,
things in the chat. What else is there?
that's about it. I really just wanted to speak to somebody about a couple things that I've never really spoken of before because, this is anonymous and then, I feel better saying it here first.
Good. That's what this is about. I do want to also add, while we're here, because I forgot to mention this earlier on the Discord announcement I made earlier,
Mhm.
we will be this is to everyone and to you on the phone here, we will be adding to the Discord in the next week an anonymous thread for confessions or, whatever you want to call it, just, venting, an anonymous vent thread. It'll be completely anonymous. We're ruthlessly looking for some anonymous bots that don't track anything.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to know it. I don't want my mods to know who's posting. Like, we're not going to settle until we find one that's completely anonymous, even if we have to write a new bot ourselves from scratch. So for those interested in that, you may be interested in joining our Discord server. Even without that anonymous confession thread, it's been a awesome place for people. I mean, it's just beautiful seeing like all the people in there talking about just real stuff. It's like just real life. It's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, I chatted in it a little bit last night.
Oh, cool. Great.
Mhm.
And that I see people in the chat asking about that link to the Discord. It is in the description, that link to the Discord. So sorry to get off track there a little bit talking about Discord, but you mentioned
Mhm.
the anonymous element of this, and I just realized that I forgot to mention that earlier. So I'm glad you feel better sharing. I'm really glad you called in and shared. It meant a lot to me. I've gone through very similar things in my life, and it's helpful for me to know that, when I hear stories like yours from callers like you, it gives me hope, and you've given a number of people in the chat some sense of community as well. So thank you so much for sharing, and
Mhm.
please call back anytime.
Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Take care of yourself. What a wonderful person that sounded like. All right, we're going to open up these lines and see what happens. What's this doing? Trying to turn them on. Hi, thanks for calling.
What's this doing? Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling.
Oh, for answering. This is my first time calling, so I don't know exactly what to do. Should I just give a brief about what I want to talk about, or?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about? What's bothering you? What's your problem?
Oh, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. Actually, I'm a huge fan from back in the day, and I still look forward to all your videos. And well,
Thank you.
it's been a rough year for me. Actually, for the past 2 years, I've been in a relationship for 4 years, and I traveled I lived in Jordan. I'm actually from there, and I traveled to
Hey, no
the
names, no
States.
locations. No names, no locations. I'm on the verge of toasting you because you just mentioned a location. You're not still in Jordan, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm gonna let this go on because I want to hear what you have to say. But please, no
Yeah.
names, no locations at all. It's for your,
Sorry about
it's for
that. Yeah,
you, and it's also just for the community to feel better. And I'm also hearing some
I
feedback.
understand.
Do you have speakers on that you can turn off?
Yeah. Is it better now?
We'll see. Carry on. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So, I was in a relationship and things did not work out.
Okay.
So now after we were together and she broke up with me and I took it really lightly at the beginning and I went out with this other girls and it was okay, but after a while I realized that um I feel like I'll never find somebody like her, and
Mm.
I'm really having bad thoughts for the past year, and now knowing that she moved on and she's with somebody else, and I try to get her back in my life on too many occasions, but I was actually the reason why she broke up with me is I was promising her that we're gonna have more serious relationship of us getting engaged and getting married, but I was telling her that I was promising her that, but after I moved, I did not follow with my promise, and I
I
feel
see.
like a liar, and I feel really bad, and knowing that I can get her back now because she's with somebody else, and I don't know, she probably hates me, even though she says she doesn't hate me. But I feel like I'm having really bad dreams, and I'm dreaming of her every day, and I don't know how to move on, and I'm really having these dark thoughts, and every day is a struggle for me to even wake up in the morning.
How old are
And
you?
I don't know if that is considered something serious or not, but it's really affecting my life.
Yeah, I mean, not being able to get
And
out of bed, I'd call that serious.
yeah, and um, it's something that it's getting harder and harder every day. And for the past year, I've been trying to contact her, but recently she just um, spoke with a friend, telling him that I need to stop like texting her. Or just she felt like I'm just being I don't know creepy or something. But even though I'm trying to, I last time I texted her, I told her that please forgive me if I lied to you or anything like that. But she said I'm never gonna forgive you. So I think that was like they said the nail in the coffin, the last nail. So
I see.
I'm not sure how to move on, and it's controlling my life.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
30.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's a rough. That's
I never spoke about this. It's not like I wanted to go to a psychiatrist, but I even think that I don't know. I feel like this is not something that a psychiatrist will help me. I don't know. I'm against taking like any prescriptions or something like that.
right.
Um
Well,
so it's
if I can pause you
yeah.
there may be a way to process this with without medication that may be helpful, like with a psychologist or even just a counselor. Um, Easy Cheesy TV from the chat is asking if you are familiar with attachment style theory, which I think is an excellent question. I don't know anything about you, but it seems relevant at least. Attachment style theory. Have you heard of that?
I don't know that. No. Never heard of it.
It's an attachment. So it's a relational style that develops when we're children and can go on to influence the rest of our lives, the rest of our relationships. It's how we relate intimately with other people. I'd recommend looking into that if you can make a note of attachment style theory and just do some Googling. It's very easy to read about it. And if it sounds like it
Mm-hmm.
resonates with you, I would, if that sounds even close to resonating with you, I would absolutely go see some kind of counselor or psychologist. Don't go see I'm with you on the psychiatry. You don't need medication for this. But it may be a valuable learning experience about your personality and how you relate with others. So I'm with Easy Cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
That name, sorry, I don't mean to laugh. That's just such a funny name to say in the middle of a conversation like this. I'm with Easy Cheesy that might be something to look into. But I want to hear more about
Yeah.
your experience because I can hear it in your voice. This is really, you said you're not getting out of bed. You're having a hard time getting out of bed over this. I mean, that's got to just be eating you alive. What do you think it was that kept you from marrying this woman?
Well, um, I'm being here completely honest. I'm I'm very close to my family. My father passed away when I was a kid, so I lived with my three sisters and my mom, and we were very close. And we are still close. And when I was in this relationship, um, my mother and my sisters were not, they did not approve of the girl. They didn't like her to the extent that uh, approving of my marriage, and it's something that it's in from my background, coming from my background, I need their approval and I need their blessing, so to say.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it when I was in a relationship in the last year, and when I was with her, it was very difficult because I was lying to her and lying to them, saying, "Oh no, there's nothing serious," and then telling her, "Yeah, it's serious, and we're going places." And then
I see.
we had a lot of fights. I had a lot of fights with my family because they didn't approve of this marriage. And after we broke up and they saw how bad it was for me, then they're like, okay, maybe now we see that you're missing her. Maybe now uh, we will give you the approval. But I felt it was coming from a place of sympathy for me, not actually giving me their full blessings. And I was thinking of ahead of what's going to happen in the future, and I felt that um, she changed, and she's a different person. Um, and the girl that I knew before, it's no longer there. Um, but I didn't think that it's going to be to this extent to for me to think about her every day, to come, like I can go to work, but if it's not work, I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed, literally. Like today I spent all day long in bed. I didn't move because it's something that I don't know, it's just I feel like it's controlling my life. Um and I don't know, it's people say, oh, you need to move on. My friends, and I have a lot of common friends saying, oh, she moved on, you need to move on. But I don't know. I feel like I'm a villain in her story, and all my life I was trying to be this honest man, and I see myself looking at when I look at myself now, I see like someone who lied to. I would call her the love of my life. So I
Well,
don't know if that makes sense.
it makes perfect sense. I just want to say first that um, when people tell us that we just need to move on or get over something or someone, that is not constructive criticism. And that's not what you needed to hear from those people. What you needed was for someone to listen to you and say, man, that sounds really hard, and ask you questions about what, what you think might help you feel better. That's what you probably needed more than just hearing someone say, you just need to get over it and move on. I mean, like, how does one just get over something and just move on? Like, yeah, you said this woman's the love of your life. You mentioned that you're under a lot of guilt about feeling like you lied to her. Is it possible that you weren't lying to her? Is it possible that maybe you were ambitious and hopeful that it might work out? And you told me that your parents were a huge inhibiting factor on the relationship because they didn't approve of her, but you loved her. And so that to me sounds like somebody that was just really hopeful that things might come to a place eventually where it would make sense to marry, but that she couldn't wait around
Yes.
for it. Is that possible?
Yes, that's completely, yeah.
So see, you didn't
That's
lie to her.
exactly what I,
You're not a liar.
but she feels like I'm a liar. That's what, like, the last time we texted, she told me, like, I'll never forgive you. You lied to me, and you were not a man of your word. Or you weren't the man that I loved. And even though inside, like, I was ambitious. It's true. I was thinking, like, things may change, things may get better, because I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose, I would say, the respect or the blessings of my family. But at the same time, this is what ended up being, like, we're separated. So, but you're right.
Well, it sounds like you're in a place now where your former girlfriend doesn't want to even hear from you anymore. She doesn't want. She asked you to stop texting her, so it may be really difficult for you to get that message through to her. But I'm wondering if she knows that thing about your parents. I'm wondering if she knows that you were under the pressure of your parents who didn't approve of her. Seems like maybe it would be a difficult thing to tell her, but does she know that you were under that pressure?
She knows, but maybe not the full picture. But not because it will make her feel bad.
Right.
That you know what I mean. It's gonna break her heart. That's what I feel, even more than if it was broken.
Right. Yeah, because then it becomes personal to her, and she might feel like, insulted.
So, yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, maybe you could send her an email and, maybe take some time writing an email. Take like 2 weeks and look at this email every day. I'm just giving you an idea. You don't have to do this, but I'm just thinking, like, maybe a carefully worded, thoughtful email to her, just something very short, not long, something very short, beginning with, like, hey, I know you've moved on. I know you don't want me to reach out, so I don't expect you to respond, but I just want you to know that where I was coming from with that, and just share a little bit. Don't make it long, but do you feel comfortable maybe? I mean, it sounds like I'm recommending that because it sounds like you're under the guilt. It doesn't sound like you think you lied to her. It sounds like you're under the guilt that she thinks you lied to her. You're under the guilt of that she's imposing on you. Is that right?
In a way, yes. I mean, it goes both ways. I feel, when I think back, I feel like I made a huge mistake, and at the same time, because it gets a little bit more complicated. I tried to move on after a year that we were broke up, even more, like 2 years, and what happened is I found a girl that I thought this was going to be a serious relationship, and well, she got in contact with me, and I was very happy talking to her while I was with this other girl. But so I spoke with her for like a month, like only texting and some phone calls, and but then I felt really guilty because I was with this other girl. So I told her that I'm in a relationship now, and I don't think we can be together. And at that time, I thought this was right. That decision was right, because things happen, and the relationship did not work, and I found this new girl that I'm finding myself really happy with. But things fell apart with this with my ex girlfriend, or the other girl, and then it messed me up even more because now I feel like I just made a huge mistake of leaving the girl that I loved for a girl who I knew for like 3 months, and it didn't work with her, and now I lost a girl that I loved for all this time. So that complicates things even more. Looking back, like I felt like I made a huge mistake,
Well,
and
maybe, yeah.
that makes me really feel like guilty and makes me hate my decisions, and that affects me on every day. Like I feel like, am I making mistakes? And as a person, I'm always very cautious, and yeah.
Did you think that
So
maybe your family would approve of the new girl more so than your long-term
yeah,
girlfriend?
yeah, yes. So probably I did it more for them, not for me.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. But I felt like things were working out, but things fell apart between. I realized there's some core things, and I realized that I didn't move on, and I'm still attached to my my ex girlfriend, and I was expecting the same, I don't know, same relationship or the same treatment, I would say,
Hmm.
and just things fell apart, and at that time it's too late. It's like I broke her heart twice in a way, even though I did it just to be just to feel like an honest man.
Right. I get exactly what you're putting down. That makes perfect sense to me. For those who are just listening in, we have a caller who is going through some guilt and some sense of regret in a former relationship that ended um, with a former girlfriend that they were working towards marriage, and then they never got married because there was some parental pressure from the caller. They didn't approve of the girlfriend, and then the caller found another girl that they thought the parents might approve of, and so there's this regret that the caller chased the wrong person and now has lost the girlfriend permanently because she's moved on and doesn't want to hear from him anymore. And the ex-girlfriend now has accused the caller of being a liar and just has no interest in hearing his side of the story. But we've also uncovered that the ex-girlfriend doesn't fully understand the dynamics and the pressure that the caller was under from his family to not marry the girl because of the understandable, personal implications that might have for that could come off as an insult. So we're trying to just support this caller and listen, and also just provide some ideas. I do want to revisit this attachment style thing that we were talking about before, because I think there may be something to it, even if it's not specifically. I'm not trying to pinpoint. I'm not trying to diagnose you. I can't diagnose you, but my point is that I'm with. I think it was Easy Cheesy said this. I'm with whoever said this, that there may be something from your childhood that is impacting the way you go about relationships. And that would absolutely be something worth processing with a therapist or a counselor. Not a psychiatrist that's just going to give you meds and tell you to go home and sleep. That's not what you need. But, if you do have something going on psychologically that is driving you in certain ways in relationships that could be more productive and healthy, you can resolve a lot of that stuff in a few months in therapy. Do you have the means to go to therapy?
I'm starting to think about it more. It's something that always in the back of my mind of going, but I always think I have the fear of just um, like somebody judging me, or maybe it's, I don't know, actually talking now and um, talking it out loud, and it makes me feel a little bit better. So I think, yeah, this is something that would help me.
Okay.
Um,
So,
but I'm still attached to like I feel like if I don't know, it's weird, but I think if I feel better and I don't feel this guilt, if it's gonna be unfair to her. Like I feel like she wants me to feel this guilt and to feel bad because because of what I did to her. I don't know if that makes sense, but like if I
yeah.
let her go, it's um, this is the last chance. This is the if I move on or just heal or let go of this, then I'm gonna lose her forever. She's gonna be just a memory.
I want to zero in on something. You keep using this expression, what you did to her. And I just want to question what that is. It doesn't sound like you did anything to her. It sounds like you were under some intense pressure from your family not to marry this woman. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I don't want to know where you're from. Don't tell me where you're from. But I know that in a lot of yeah, all over the world, there are tons of cultures where that pressure is very real. You're an international caller, and I want to acknowledge that in the chat there's some noise coming from our connection here. That's because we haven't. This is an international call, and some of these international calls, there's just some weird interference. So I'm sorry about the interference, guys. We can't do anything about it. But again, I'm not asking where you're from. Please don't tell me. But that a lot of people in the United States don't really understand what that's like, that parental pressure not to marry someone, because a lot of people in the States are just like, well, we'll just go get eloped, and they won't come to the wedding, and it'll be fine. We'll get together next year for the holidays. It'll be fine. And that's not how it works everywhere. There's a lot of places outside of the U.S. where, and even within the U.S. in the South and whatnot, where families are, they have very high level of impact on who their kids marry, and so I just want to question that you keep saying you did this thing to your ex-girlfriend. Like, it doesn't sound like you did anything to me. It sounds like you were just under this really intense pressure from your parents, your family, and like, what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, that's I guess that's true. It wasn't coming from a bad place. But I think like I could have handled it better. I could have been more honest but it was coming out of a place of love and compassion to this girl and yeah, you said exactly. It's in my culture. It's um, and especially not only in my culture, but it's in my family. Like I said, I'm very close to my mother and my sisters, and I want them to be happy with my choices in life, and it's something that um, it's very important to me. But at the same time, when I think of did I just made myself unhappy just to see them um, satisfied or not to go through the struggle of convincing them or just putting them on the spot, sort of saying, but it's like yeah, it wasn't something that I did to her, but it was out of my hand. But at the same time, I think I feel guilty that I could have handled it way differently, being more honest or pressuring my family or pressuring myself or
Right.
and the thing that happened a year ago with this new girl that I met that also gets me. But I wanted to I honestly wanted to have a fresh start, and even though like she came back to my life in sort of a way, but I was thinking that it's too late now, and I chose to move on, and um, but I think I made a mistake. That's what gets me even more.
Yeah. I want to leave you with two thoughts, some just food for thought. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not promising you that this will fix anything, but I just have two fairly strong convictions about what you've told me. And the first one is what I've already said about getting some counseling, not psychiatry, just some counseling, just some talk therapy with an expert that knows about attachment styles and whatnot. And And then the second thing is this letter or an email. I don't think it's a text message, especially if she asks you to stop texting. But if you've got this guilt that you don't know where to put, if you don't know what to do with it, a very short, like 5 sentences, 6 sentences, short paragraph, something that like she will definitely read all of. That's just right to the point, and something that tells her you're not expecting her to respond, but you're doing this for her, for yourself and for her, so that she doesn't always wonder, and just telling her that like you just told me that there are things you wish you had done differently, and I wonder how she would feel if you told her that. I wonder how she would feel if she heard you or read those words from you, that you acknowledged there are things you wish you could have done differently, but that you were under this pressure. You didn't know how to communicate to her without offending her or hurting her. Like there's no good way to tell a potential fiance or potential wife, potential partner of any kind, that your parents don't approve of them. Like that's like soul crushing for someone to hear, especially if they love you. So I wonder if like what I just said is not 5 sentences, obviously, but I'm also not trying to put words in your mouth. I think like that kind of an email with that kind of a theme might go a long way for you, just so you know that she has read it, and whether or not she responds, like I wonder if that would make you sleep better and wake up easier in the morning. Did we lose you? We lost the caller. Some of these international calls, we just drop them. I don't know why that is. It did seem like we had a loose connection from the caller. My connection's solid, so it was not me. But yeah, some of these international calls have been kind of sketch on the connection. So to the caller, those were my closing thoughts, but my heart goes out to you. There's a bunch of love going out to you in the chat, a bunch of people going through similar experiences that might be helpful for you to read. Please go through the chat and read what people are saying to you, because it's really, that's what's awesome about this space is, one caller calls in sharing something that they think is super niche, and then 3 or 4 other 12 other people will light up in the chat, and it's different with every case, but there's always someone that can have something valuable to say or support you in some way. So thank you so much for calling in tonight and for sharing. I hope you get the peace you need. I do think some therapy and some kind of a short email to your ex-girlfriend might go a long way, at least for your own sanity, since it sounds like you're having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. I hate that for you. All right, so we just started out with 2 very in-depth phone calls, which is amazing. Usually it takes us a little while to get running. I am going to take a quick intermission for the sake of the caller so I can just listen better. It's going to be about 5 minutes, and I will be right back. So do not go anywhere. All right. We are back. Thank you guys for waiting. Okay, a little lull since we took the break, but I'm sorry, guys. We got to take the breaks. Just a little short break every now and then helps me kind of focus a little better. Otherwise, I'm going to be all over the place. So thanks for bearing with me. All right. Lines are coming back open. And we're going to take our first caller. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, wow. Sorry, I didn't think I would actually get through. So I was here, for the first caller where he was talking about his mom,
Okay.
and I guess I can relate to that with my dad. He's been pretty abusive to me, pretty well, my whole life, and he's been really abusive to my mom, and I have a 5-year-old, and I've been noticing that he's starting to do the same things to her that he did to me.
To your 5-year-old?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I know, my mom, she left him, and I know that I should probably stop. I know that I should probably cut him off. Because I'm petrified that he's going to do the same stuff that he did to me. He emotionally abused me, I guess, and he's starting to do it to her. She's not overweight by any means, but she has chubby cheeks, and the other day, he told her that her cheeks were fat, and he told her that she has a gut, and after that, she didn't want to when she went to get a bath, she didn't want me to be in the bathroom. She thought that she was, she told me that she was fat, and it just broke my heart. But, I don't know, I guess it's just nice to have this to talk to, I guess. I don't know. Sorry.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay. Wow, you had kids young.
Pardon? Just a second. Pardon?
You jumped right into parenthood at 21. That's a lot to be going through.
When I was 9, I had her when I was 20, I think. Oh, yeah, 20.
Wow.
She's 6, yeah, and, I mean, it's just me. Her father left when she was about 2 months old, and, so, I've kind of leaned on my parents, and I have leaned on my dad, but, he's always been really abusive. I just got out of an abusive relationship. He mentally abused me, physically abused me. He stole from me.
My goodness.
He got me in a really bad position, to the point where I lost my the place I was renting, and I lost my job, and he stole my car, and it was awful. But
stole your car?
My dad told me that yes, he stole my car, and he ruined the motor in it. So
oh my gosh.
When I got it back, it was no good no more, and I couldn't afford to get a new one. But I'm slowly climbing out of that, so that's good. But he told me that it was my fault for staying, and I guess it kind of was, but
what kind of abuse did you endure from your dad growing up?
He's always told me that I was never going to amount to anything, and he's always told me that he's always been very emotional abusive. he's always, I mean, he's only hit me like once or twice, and I probably deserved it when I was younger. Um,
Like in the face?
um,
Or
he
like a
has,
spanking? Or
and he has hit me in the face like once or twice.
how old were you when that
When I
happened?
was younger, I was probably, I must have been like 13, probably,
I'm so
and
sorry to
I
hear
was
that.
starting to like skip school.
How's your relationship
um,
with your mom?
mm, it used to be good. Um, Sorry, it used to be good before me and my ex got together, and then he kind of alienated me, I suppose, from my family.
Hmm.
And I guess she never really forgave me for that. And she will tell me like that she doesn't forgive me for letting him do that to me. And she does have some mental issues herself. Like she has depression, and she has anxiety, and she has some controlling habits. Um, it's like she likes to be controlling, but we used to be really close until me and my ex got together, and he alienated me from pretty well all of my family. And
The ex alienated you from your family, is that right?
yeah, like he wouldn't. I don't know. I know it sounds foolish, but he wouldn't let me go anywhere, like go see them. He wouldn't let me go see my mom. He wouldn't let me call my mom. It was just, I know, but and I'm embarrassed of it.
Don't be embarrassed. I mean, it sounds like maybe, I mean, we haven't been talking for very long, but it sounds like you maybe were, you know, the way we can't help the way we're raised. You mentioned you were raised by an abusive father who
Yeah,
emotionally abused you. It sounds like, and I would also say it sounds like there was some verbal abuse and a little bit of physical abuse. It sounds like, as you mentioned. So, it makes me wonder, like, you know, are you attracted to people, to partners like that? That are you attracted to be treating that way somehow? Is that something that feels familiar to you? Do you feel like maybe you're attracted to people that are going to treat you badly?
yeah. Well, that's one reason why I called in, and I just kind of started rambling the second you answered. That's just, I don't know what I do, I guess. But
That's okay.
I I think maybe because even my daughter's father, he was pretty abusive. And he never abused the first time he abused her, my daughter. She was she was 2 months old, and that's when he left. Well, that's when I left, I guess. And then he left. He stopped having anything to do with her. He woke up one night and he started yelling at her because she was crying, and told her to shut up. And like that, I
My
drew the
goodness.
line there, because I always said that I would never let a man treat my daughter the same way that my dad treated me. But
Yeah, you.
like now I'm letting my dad do it to her, and like I don't know how to. I don't. It's like I don't know how to stick up to him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
What would make this
I
helpful?
don't really.
Are you looking for ideas? Do you
Pardon?
just want? I said, what would make this a helpful call? Are you just looking to
I
get that
think I
off your?
just wanted somebody to tell, because I don't really have anybody, and it honestly feels good to just say it to somebody that like I don't know, that can't like that doesn't know me and that can't judge me. Like it just feels good to have somebody to just say it to. So
Well, a big part of what we're doing here is to encourage people that there's no sense in judging people for their stories. Like you're right that the anonymous element of that is like a comforting thing. That's part of it, and it's an intentional element. But what I'm hoping is that these stories, like you're sharing, that's an extreme story. I'm hoping that by people hearing stories like this, that it'll open people's eyes to the kinds of things people go through, and people won't feel so crazy having to you shouldn't have to feel like there's no one you can talk to about this. That breaks my heart. Do you have a counselor? Do you have a therapist you've worked through this with?
I pretty well don't have anybody. Like I do have my mom. But we aren't like, we're close, but we're not. Like it's always been more of a friendship other than like a mother-daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And like I know this is humiliating, but like I live in a camper because my ex, like when I lost my place, I lost my job, and I'm trying to like get back on my feet. But
that's not
I
embarrassing.
guess I feel also like a failure as a mom. Like I always wanted to give her like a better life, and I always wanted her to have like more, but it feels like I just keep going like two steps forward, and then like taking like 5 back, and but yeah, I don't.
There's nothing embarrassing
Like,
about living in a
I don't know.
camper. I don't want you to feel embarrassed about that. I mean, you have shelter, you've had setbacks. You had an abusive boyfriend who stole a bunch of stuff from you and alienated you from your, you just mentioned a laundry list of setbacks that you've experienced. So I'm just glad you have shelter and that you and your 5-year-old are safe. I mean, celebrate that, at the very least. I know I'm not trying to diminish what you're going through at all, but like I just hear you being really hard on yourself, and I just want to I know what it's like to struggle with believing a lie. Like you said that at the beginning of this call, you said your dad used to emotionally abuse you by saying that you would never amount to anything and things like this, and it sounds like he's now starting to do that to your child. Which is messed up, and I just want to make sure that you don't believe that you don't believe that you're never going to amount to anything. You've endured a lot, and you're still going, and I want to make sure that you're recognizing that, and that you're taking time to love yourself for what you've fought for.
Yeah, thank you. I know like you say that it's a lot that I've went through and stuff, but to me, it feels like I'm just being, like to me, it feels like it's not valid because no matter, like my dad always, it's like anything I go through, it's like it's not a big deal. Like he's always made it seem like it's not a big deal. Like my ex abused me, and like I called my dad for help one night, and he told me that I needed to get out of it myself, and that it was my fault, and that it wasn't that bad, and that I was just being dramatic, and like I don't know why I keep going back to him. I get my dad, I guess. I just don't.
That's a lie.
Especially now that he's doing it to my daughter is my biggest, and I wanna say something to him, I guess. Because I feel bad for him. Like I feel bad thinking wrong, or I feel bad thinking that he's a bad person. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
What your dad told you is a lie. You shouldn't just get over abuse. That is ridiculous. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at your dad. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know your dad, obviously, but I'm just like, I'm hearing the heartbreak in your voice, and it makes me really angry for you on your behalf, because I'm just like I hear that you're really torn up over this, and that you're fighting the good fight. You're protecting your 5-year-old, and you're trying to take steps to make sure that this unhealthy pattern that you've recognized doesn't make it into her life. You want to give her a better. I can't remember if you said your child is a girl or boy. I apologize.
She's a girl.
Okay, I wasn't making it up. That's good. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're a good parent. You don't want those things to affect your daughter. You're fighting the good fight. Like, your dad is flat out wrong. That's not true. And I want to make sure you understand that, because it seems like your dad is either, you mentioned the other caller that you were listening to earlier that made you want to call in, the one who's was questioning if their father was, or I believe that caller it was their mother who, the caller was questioning if they were trying to figure out, they've been trying to figure out for years if their mother's a sociopath. And you mentioned that caller, and it makes me wonder. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of things that sound like, sociopathic behavior, like they're making things up and they're lying to you and they're abusing you, and like physically and emotionally and verbally, and now they're trying to do it to your daughter, and it sounds like they've kind of got you cornered. Your dad, it sounds like it has you kind of cornered with this mental ammo he's using. Like he's got you locked up. I can hear it in your voice. You're afraid you don't know which end is up, it sounds like.
Well, I don't. I know. Like I've stuck up to him before, and because my daughter, this was a couple years. This was like when she was about 3, and she had some toys out on the deck. It was like an easel and outside toys, and I left them outside while I went in to cook her supper, and he stopped by, and he got mad at me because my deck was a mess with toys. And like I got mad at him, I locked the door, and he literally ripped the door handle off, and
oh my goodness.
And it came in anyways, and like got mad and yelled and like smashed his hand around and like scared my daughter. And so even if I do stick up to him, he would come to my home. And I guess that's what I'm scared of. I know he won't. I know he won't hurt me. I just don't. I don't know.
Well, you don't know that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that, because he was abused too when he was younger. Like his father was an alcoholic, and his father abused him, like beat him really bad. And my dad he's a bit of an alcoholic, and I can literally breathe a certain way, and he'll get mad at me, and he'll tell me that I'm breathing too heavy, or he'll tell me to lose weight, and I'm not even like I'm chubby, but I'm not big, and
right.
He'll tell me to lose weight, or he'll tell me that I'm getting fat and that's why I'm breathing like that, or if I cough, or then it's, I don't know, it's everything I do, it's like I'm wrong for it, and to the point where like I just don't even talk when he's around, and I don't know how to get away from him, but then again, like I don't want to get away from him because he's my dad, and I don't know, like maybe I'm wrong for that because I'm putting my daughter through it.
Well, I want you to be. I wish there was something I could do to help you feel no sense of guilt about any of this. Like this is not your guilt to carry. You can't help the way your dad is. And I'm not alone in thinking that your dad sounds like some kind of psychopath. And I don't say that. I'm not throwing that word around. Some people in the chat are saying narcissist. I'm thinking it sounds more like people I've known with borderline personality disorder. But again, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't diagnose anyone.
Something.
Yeah, it sounds like he's something. And I'm glad that you at least recognize that. I mean, do you think you have it in you to like take that weight off your shoulders and just acknowledge that's your dad's weight to carry, and you're not going to carry it anymore? at least that is a first step for yourself, like a secret step to yours. You don't even have to tell your dad you're doing it, but do you think you have that in you?
Even to think about that is like I can feel it. I can even to think about something like that. It feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like to think like not like I feel bad for him, and I don't know why I feel bad for him.
You
Like
love him.
even when
He's your dad.
pardon?
He's your dad.
Yeah. I just like when he's mad at me, and when my mom, like I'll tell my mom what he said, and my mom will stick up for me, and stick up for my daughter, and then he'll call me and he'll say, "Oh, do you need some money? Do you need some groceries?
See, that's
I'm
borderline. That's more
does your daughter
borderline.
need any clothes?"
Yeah.
And then I feel bad, and I'm like, oh my God, well maybe it's not that bad. Like maybe I am the problem. Like maybe I am being dramatic. Maybe like that's how I feel. But just even thinking about like that is a huge weight off. Like that would be a huge weight off my shoulders, definitely.
Can you give that to yourself?
Yeah.
Good.
I definitely think I could, because I definitely think, yeah.
Now, it sounds like you may. I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember if you mentioned that you have spoken with a counselor, but I seem to remember you saying there's been a bunch of financial struggles, and I remember you saying that this has been something that you've mostly just carried on your own. So I don't know if you've had like any at all counseling through this. If you can get some,
No.
even through some kind of grant, I think that would be a great step. Like there's plenty of, and I'm not telling you to go to a psychiatrist and get meds. I'm talking about talk therapy, seeing a psychologist, someone who might be able to help you understand your brain chemistry and your attachment styles and whatnot. You could there. Pretty much every office, every counseling office has interns who are in training that'll work for free or very little. And there's also places that get grants. I'm not sure where you are. Please don't tell us because this is anonymous, obviously. But I would highly recommend just doing some research in your area and seeing if you can find. Just call a dozen offices in the next week and see and ask if they have grants for low income situations, or an intern that will just listen and give guidance for free. Because again, a lot of these interns are in training to become counselors themselves, or even psychologists. A lot of them are in school. So that could be a great place to start if money's tight. It sounds like you're really scared of setting up boundaries with your dad because he's been abusive and he's been really erratic and over the top. And so I'm wondering what you think maybe would happen if you filed a restraining order against him. I mean, he's sounds like
do nothing.
You think he would still show up?
Oh, he would still come here I don't even. He's threatened me before because I have because I have a trailer. Like they're pretty simple to move. He has a excavator and a bunch of equipment. Like he's threatened me before to like take it and tow it, and like.
I mean, these are all things you can tell the police.
I don't think. Pardon?
These are all things you can tell the police. I'm just trying to help you get down to the bottom of some kind of a solution, since it sounds like you're kind of out of options. Like, I mean, if you call the police and you say, like, look, like, I need a restraining order. I'm in a camper. My father has said if I do anything legal, he's going to tow my camper away. I need some kind of protection, and I need a restraining order. I don't know what they'll say exactly, but I know I know you're certainly not alone. And I mean, you've got an extreme story, of course, but I mean, the police hear stuff like this. They might have some.
Yeah.
They might have some. I just want you to get some kind of protection, because it feels like you're living in this state of fear that you can't shake. I mean, you're living in your dad knows where you live. He's threatening to tow your home away if you do anything. Like, that is pretty serious.
Yeah, see, I'm really happy that you say that, because it's just me. Like, I don't have anybody. I have my best friend, but she's always on my side. Like, she's my best friend. So it's really nice to hear somebody else tell me that I'm not like being crazy, I guess.
Deanna
Um,
Krebs from the chat is with me, and she's in law school. She's someone who's volunteering in our Discord server right now. She's a lawyer, and she's agreeing with me that you need to start building some kind of
okay.
case. Not to take him to court necessarily, but, like call the police
Yeah.
and get some kind of special restraining order where they can give you some kind of protection. Like it sounds like some boundaries are in order with your dad, and I'm not going to, make any recommendations on what kind of boundary that is. I mean, only you would know that, and I've only been talking to you for about 25 minutes here, so I'm really hesitant to weigh in too much, but it sounds like some serious boundaries are in order, and also
Oh, they are.
also Deanna from the
Sorry.
chat is someone who's mentioning a few times during your call here that they want to be available to you through the chat in the Discord. I'm not sure if you're a member of the
Okay.
Discord server. It's in the video
I'm
description.
not, but I'm going to.
Okay. So Deanna's name in the Discord is Slinks, I believe, Slynx, and she's volunteered to be a person in the Discord who is just listening and supporting people. You can do it through text or voice, however you want. And I've had only a few short exchanges with her, but she seems very intelligent and very sweet and wants to just help people that don't have anyone else to talk to. So highly recommend going in the Discord and finding her.
I really appreciate that from her. I really do. It's just really nice to have, it's just really nice to hear that other people don't think that I'm crazy, because
You're not
I
crazy.
actually start believing that I'm the problem.
Right. That's what a psychopath does. They make you think you're the problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does. He will. I'm sorry. When I first called, I know that I was rambling, because it's just I have so much to spit out. I don't know.
Right.
That it probably didn't make any sense. But
I'm sorry. Are you
I
saying?
I really appreciate it. And
oh no, you made perfect sense. I followed everything. I'm empathizing and sympathizing with you so hard right now. Like that, just my heart breaks for you and your daughter, your 5-year-old daughter. Like, I just want you to find some kind of peace of mind, and I think that's only going to come through, letting yourself go from some of that guilt, and just you got to find a place where that is solidified in your mind as your dad's thing. That's not your thing, and it sounds like some boundaries are in order, and I don't know how. Again, I don't want to tell you specifically what to do, but I think that some kind of protection is in order. If he's threatening to take your home away, that's criminal.
It is, but the only thing that saves me from that is knowing that it's mine. So even if he did, he would get in a lot of trouble. So
right.
It is mine. I took my last money, I took my last dollar to buy this trailer and fix it up so that it was comfortable for us to live into while I got back on my feet. And knowing that it's mine and that it's not his is, comforting to know that he can't just do that. And I don't really know if he would, if he's just saying it, but I don't know. He thinks he can control me, I guess. He likes to have some sort of control over me.
I would say he's learned how to control you, and that
oh, he certainly has, yeah. And I know he has, and I know that I let him, and I feel like I don't want to say, but I feel like I deserve it in a way, because I let it happen. And I don't know, I know I have to stop it, because my daughter's young enough now that it won't affect her the same way that it's affected me, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But she does know, and she can remember things that he's done when I've gone to the house, and she always asks, why is he so mean to you? And I it breaks my heart when she does that, because like if a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, if 46, can see it, then I should be able to see it. Like, I'm 26, I should be able to see it. She's 6, I should be able to see that too.
What do you tell your daughter
Or
when
I
she
don't.
asks that?
I just like kind of laugh it off, and I say, "Oh, he's just cranky. Don't pay no mind to Papa. Sorry, don't pay no mind to him." Or I call him Papa. Is that a bad?
Hmm.
I guess that's his name. We just call him Papa. But I say, don't mind him. Like, he's just cranky. He's tired. He worked today. And like, she'll go to my mom, and she'll tell my mom. She'll be like, "Papa was really mean to Mama tonight." Like, and then my mom gets mad at me because I let it happen in front of her, and I
Yeah,
guess that's where me and my mom clash, I guess.
I was resisting saying this, but there's people in the chat saying it, so I'm gonna say it to you as well. I'm with the chat on this, that like your daughter, I'm just really scared that your daughter might grow up and just think that that's how people act when they had a bad day at work. And I know you don't want to throw your dad under the bus, and I'm trying to be very delicate and saying, very gentle in saying this, but you know, part of letting that weight off your shoulders and acknowledging that it's your dad's thing, like we were talking about earlier. Part of that may be learning how to amicably and respectfully reshape that picture for your daughter, so that she's not afraid of grandpa, but that that she knows growing up, like, because I know the last thing you want for her is to grow up and think that that's just how some people are after a hard day's work. It sounds like you know that it's more than that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want her to think that. And when you said it, it totally clicks in my head that's not the right way to approach that with her.
Right. And I'm not coming down on you. I just feel for you and your daughter, and
No, I understand.
Trying to use anything in this call that may be helpful or valuable. I do think the Discord is going to be awesome for you, just to get some encouragement and maybe some ideas. I'll recommend the other 2 books that I recommended to the other caller. It sounds like you were listening, so you may have heard them already, but Psychopath Free.
I added to the screenshot.
Okay, great. Those 2 books, Stop Walking on Eggshells and Psychopath Free, are amazing resources by very highly qualified psychologists about dealing with a sociopath or psychopath in your life. So I'm glad that you took note of those. I've read both of them. Fantastic books, fantastic resource, just completely world-shattering in the best way possible. It's just like you finish those books and you're like, holy crap, like everything makes sense. Like, it's just so empowering.
Yeah. I know, like, the name, like, walking on eggshells, that's how I feel always.
Right.
So, yeah. Even like when I'm not around my dad, or even when my dad's not calling me, or I still feel like, oh, what if he shows up? Like, I'm always walking on eggshells. Like, so.
Right. I hate that for you. That's got to be horrible.
I feel bad. Like, I don't want to, like, yeah. I'm not trying to, like, get sympathy or anything. Like, it's just, sorry.
No, it's okay. You may need some. It doesn't sound like you have many people that you can talk to about this.
No, I do. I have my friend that's about it. And my mom, she understands what my dad's like, but, like, I noticed, like, my mom is kind of starting to, like, resent me for letting it happen to my daughter. I guess that's a big reason why we, like, get in arguments. But
right. Well, I hope.
You said to talk and look into like a therapist, I think you said, or some people, like, they're practicing to be. I have a doctor's appointment on the 26th, so I am actually gonna talk to her about it.
I wouldn't ask your doctor about a good therapist. They might just send you to a psychiatrist. and the psychiatrist is just going to give
Okay.
you pills. I don't think you want pills here. I think you need.
No.
I think you want someone that can help you process how you think. A professional psychologist would be best, in my opinion. Even a talk therapist or just regular counselor would be great. A lot of those people have psychology degrees anyways. But if you go to your doctor asking for some mental health help, they're probably just going to send you to a psychiatrist and they'll pump you full of pills. I would do some research on your own through Google or something. Find like 12 of the top rated psychology practices or even just general counseling offices, and try to find a dozen or so that look reputable, and just call around and say, look, I've got limited resources. I'm in a severe situation. I need help like this week. I'm wondering if you guys have any grants for people like me, or if you have anyone in training that can work for cheaper or even for free. And you'd be surprised how often there are options for people in those situations.
I'm definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, but don't. I'm not telling you to go take pills. I want to be very clear about that.
Yeah.
I'd hate for you to call back in 3 weeks and be like, "Hey, I'm on all these pills now."
Yeah, no.
No, that's. I don't think that's what you want.
I'm like really thankful for this, because it makes me feel like I'm not being dramatic about my dad. Like it just makes me feel like a lot better. So thank you.
I'm glad that the chat and I could be supportive in any way, and I'm so glad you called and shared. I know that this certainly has been encouraging to people in the chat, and for me, even as I mentioned earlier, I've had some very close encounters with a number of psychopaths, sociopaths in my life. So it's cathartic for me even to hear from people, and it's amazing how everybody's situation is unique and different.
Yeah.
And so thanks for sharing. Call back anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you in the Discord.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Take care. Wow. All right, we're going to open these lines back up. Give me a second to do that. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey there. This is Julian.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Hey there. Oh, I did not expect to be on the show tonight. So I was hoping to talk about something that maybe you might be able to relate to as a creative person. So
is this career
without
advice?
giving
We're not giving
what's
career
that?
advice here. This is for people like
No,
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
no. I'm going through a tough time right now, but
Okay, sorry, carry
I
on.
not looking for career advice.
Okay.
So without giving too much detail, I'm a creative freelancer, and my issue is that I have a huge project that I'm working on right now, and I'm under a whole lot of pressure. My deadline is tomorrow, and
Uh-oh.
I am probably going to miss it. And I've been struggling with a lot of anxiety and pressure to deliver something amazing that I feel like is going to be a massive disappointment to everybody in my life. Yeah, it's been a long project that I've been working hard on, but I've definitely struggled with getting started and procrastinating, and this is something that I've dealt with for a long time, and I can never seem to make a change in my life and actually, pick up my feet and do a good project.
What is your
I don't
project?
know.
Don't tell me the name or anything, but what is it about? What are you making generally?
So I make videos. I'm a videographer, filmmaker. I work with some cool clients, that I'm excited about.
What is this project that you're nervous about?
So it's a big video project with a client that I've worked with before. Again, I'm not going to give any details or anything. But yeah, it's something that has had a rushed timeline. So it was already difficult to meet, but still, I had plenty of time. I feel like to actually do it, but the pressure has been so much that it's been really difficult for me to actually work on it.
How old are you?
That's the tough part. I am 29, so I've been working as a freelancer for a long time, and this is something that I've experienced in every project that I've done, and I've felt just a lack of motivation, and I feel like I always leave things to the last minute, and it's a problem I'm aware of. But yeah.
So it sounds like this is not career advice. In fact, it sounds like this is like you're looking for some motivation or some kind of tips to stop procrastinating.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of the goal here. So.
Well, I want to encourage you that this sounds like a really common developmental problem, and that's not to belittle what you're experiencing, because I know it can be very. I mean, you said you're suffering from some anxiety, and that's serious.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is serious. People who think, people who tell people with anxiety, you just gotta get over it and like just chill out. Like anxiety doesn't work that way, and it's very misunderstood. Is my point. But because it's a recurring theme here, we have a lot of people calling in with some kind of like motivational issues. Some people, it's so serious they can't get out of bed in the morning. And so I'll just jump right into some. I think you have a very simple problem, and I'm not trying to say that it has any. The anxiety is serious. Obviously, it can be very debilitating, especially for a creative. If you're an anxious creative, that can be very debilitating. But I'm going to cut right to the chase with some book recommendations that were mentioned the other night. I'm not sure how long you've been watching, so you may hear some repeat recommendations here. But Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you can make a note of that book. Have you heard of that book?
Yeah, I've heard of it before. Yes.
Okay. Are you good at reading?
I used to.
You used to read.
It's definitely
Okay.
a habit that I need to get back into.
Well, I'm 99.9% sure there's an audiobook for Atomic Habits, but I'm a firm believer that reading is always better if you can read it, especially if you're dealing with some kind of lack of motivation. I listen to some audiobooks when it's a time thing, like if I've got to be somewhere, like I won't hesitate for a second to download an audiobook of a book I'm reading on paper, to like listen to it in the car or something when I couldn't read it physically. But
right.
Since you're dealing with some motivation and some kind of like procrastination stuff, I think physically reading it would be a really good first start for you, especially that book, Atomic Habits. And then the other one, again, this is a bit of a repeat from another caller that you sound like you're having a similar experience to, but another book called The War of Art, which is a play on the art of war, obviously. Have you heard of The War of Art?
I haven't, but I know The Art of War.
Okay. Yeah, so The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. I don't believe there's an audiobook for that one. It's an older book. But it is amazing. Both those books are amazing, and I highly recommend you check them out.
Thank you. Yeah, I will definitely try and at least look into the audiobook for that.
Great. And also, the Discord that we keep mentioning has just been, it's been budding. It's going to become a big part of this format, I believe, because it's just budding into this awesome community already, and we haven't even been doing this whole show for more than 2 weeks at this point. It can't be more than that at this point. But the Discord's already turning into a great place for people to just get some, like, there's a self-positivity channel in the Discord, for example, where people are just like, somebody posted the other day, I just went for a 5-mile run, and people, we cheer each other on. So if you're struggling with some stuff like, you're procrastinating or whatever, the Discord could be a great place to just go and just celebrate some small victories, because oftentimes it's like it's those first few steps that are really difficult. And that's actually the whole premise of Atomic Habits, is that it walks you through making really small changes step by step that lead into these really big explosive changes. And so that's why I'm recommending that. And I think the Discord could also be a great place to just get some good, encouragement and some good motivation.
Thank you. Yeah, I will check it out.
And Canadian from the chat is also recommending 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dale Carnegie, I believe it is, who wrote that one. I've read that one too. That book is a good read, but it's very dated. It's very old. There's a lot of old information in that book, so it is probably worth reading if you get to the end of those two and you're still looking for something else. But just know that the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a very old book, since based on some old principles.
Okay.
But thanks for calling in and sharing. There's some good feedback for you in the chat, and hope to see you in the Discord.
Okay. Thanks, Julian.
Good luck with your
Appreciate
project. Take care. All right. Let's open up these lines again. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, Julian. How's it going?
I'm all right. How are you tonight? What do you want to talk about?
Doing all right. I was looking for some advice. So I'm going to be moving in with my fiance in September, and I wanted to see if you or the comment section, which I'm following, had any good advice on living together with the love of your life.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay. Is this are you just looking for some general advice, or are you going through something difficult? This is keep in mind, we're having people calling in suicidal and whatnot, so just trying to determine what kind of call this is. I can't give you just trying to determine if there's like a struggle here or not.
Not really too much. I was just looking for some advice on moving it together.
Okay, I would recommend. I will make a recommendation on. Oh man, what's that guy's name? He's amazing. Relationship expert, not Gottfried. There's a guy. Chat, maybe you can help me. There's a famous guy, relationship guy, has a bunch of books, a bunch of therapists and psychologists quote him. What is his? This is not the headspace I'm in. I'm sorry. These aren't the kind of calls we're looking for. I'm going to put this in the chat later, because this is not the kind of topic we're really looking for. I'm not trying to be rude, but we got people calling in suicidal and stuff like this. So, I'm going to look for a chat from me around this point in the episode later in the replay, and I will remember this person's name, and they have a bunch of great books. It's a great resource, and I will put it in the chat for you. Thanks for calling, and good luck on your marriage. Take care.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, let's open these lines back up again. See, this is where I struggle with the toast, guys. I know, like, episode 1, I was way too quick toasting people, but, like, sometimes, it's, even with all these disclaimers on the screen about the kind of calls we're looking for, I still feel like people call in with, and we're not filtering any of the calls, and that's part of the magic of it. It's part of the fun chaos of this. So I didn't want to toast that person because I felt like it might have hurt their feelings, but, I'm still figuring out how to do this in a way where we don't have to filter stuff, because I don't want to like screen calls. I like this chaos of anyone can call in at any time and get answered. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, hi Julian.
What do you want to talk about?
So I recently have not necessarily just been going through some hard times, but let's say 2 months ago, I kind of came out of this major depression, let's say, and I started doing really good for myself, right? And then I had about a month ago, just a lot of things happened to me. I injured my back at work. Lost my job after finally getting a bunch of stuff together, so it was a kind of letdown, and with a bunch of other stress that had been going on, I kind of I don't even want to say like lost my mind, but that's basically what I've been equating it to. Um, I had a major freak out. I destroyed a lot of my things, which is very childish. I'm like kicking myself for it, but you know, I'm at a point where I'm just trying to get back to, you know, that good place that I found myself in.
How old
So
are you?
yeah, I don't it's just a lot. I don't know.
How old are you?
I am at 23.
23. And you're just trying to get that spunk back? Is that what it is? Or life doesn't seem as easy as it once did?
I mean, I have the drive. There's just like the complication of my situation right now specifically is you know, has been hard. I haven't been able to work
Right.
for about 2 months, and my physical therapy has really like drained all of the money I was going to put into my home loan that I had lined up, and you know, like yeah, everything just fell apart. So like I don't know. I yeah, financially struggling, just you know, like trying to grasp at like whatever the hell I could do to you know, get back on my feet, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you're under a lot of different resistance. It sounds like you're first and foremost, you're in your early 20s, which is a rocky time for a lot of people trying to start their lives from scratch. And you know, your 20s, you know, quarter life crises are very real and underrated, in my opinion. I mean, underrated by others, not like not that people think they should be better, but that people diminish. People have a lowered expectation of what that actually is, and I think it's because life does tend to get more challenging the older we get. Like I'm not in my 50s, but I can understand to an extent why a 50-year-old would look at someone in their 20s and be like, yeah, just get over it. Your 20s are hard. So what? Try being 50. And I'm not 50. So maybe when I am 50.
When you're 50,
yeah.
know?
So maybe when I'm 50, I'll change my tune. I don't know. But, you know, being 35, I look back on my 20s and I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I made it through that. That was really hard. You know, so I'm just trying to acknowledge that those years don't often give enough credit, or they don't get enough credit. You know, I think that you are possibly experiencing some developmental stuff just from being in your 20s. And so be reassured that life does get easier after your 20s. I'm not going to, actually, I don't think easier is the right word, because I do think the older you get, more challenges come along, and life just gets more complicated the older you get. But, you know, there's this raw kind of struggle with your 20s. And, you know, a lot of even a lot of rich people don't make it past their 20s because developmentally it's so rough. People who, you know, there's a lot of celebrities who've killed themselves and things like that in their 20s. So I want to commend you for being aware that you've got these problems and for being able to articulate them. I think that's really healthy, and I think that's a good sign, in at least my opinion and in the opinion of the chat, it seems. I'm really sorry about it sounds like you got some financial struggles, which are real. I can't help you with, you know, I'm not here to talk about finances. That would get messy real quick. That would get messy reul quick. But I will say, I will say that if you've got debt, focus on paying off the debt and then worry about savings later. I will say that much. You know, I'm not a financial expert, but I've followed that advice in, you know, years past where I have had debt, and that has been really good advice. In fact, that's advice from Dave Ramsey. I'm really sorry. I'm quoting all these right-wing people, guys. Everybody in the chat's gonna light up when I'm talking about Jordan Peterson last time, and now I'm talking about Dave Ramsey. Watch out, people. But it's good advice. But focus on debt and then save after your debt's gone if that's an issue. That is good advice. That's probably the only thing I'll regurgitate from one Dave Ramsey. So what else was there? Can you jog my memory? I apologize. You mentioned that life's seeming more difficult than it once did, and you want to get back to the essence of the way your life used to be. And you mentioned there's financial struggles, and what else?
Yeah, it just seems like, not like life is kicking me when I'm down, like everything is going to turn out fine. I do have like enough mindfulness to know that it's just been like a very tough time, even like creatively. I'd like to think I'm a writer, but I really haven't had the drive to do like anything specifically moving forward with that. Just because of like the compound stress of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing that's very important to me. And when I can't, even when I feel crappy, I can't like default back to that, I really know that something's like going on and something's wrong. Like I'm not processing things right, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's just a time, it's very confusing, especially because I was doing so well
Right.
not too long ago,
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. You're really wrestling with this. I'm really sorry.
And honestly, like, man, I do bottle it up a lot, which is very frustrating at the end of the day because it's not a good thing. And like, honestly, talking about it is kind of just like crazy because I don't,
Do you have someone? Do you have anyone to talk about this with? Do you have a therapist or a counselor?
No, I don't have a therapist anymore.
Why not?
I had a therapist over like a year ago, and I started seeing a therapist after my dad passed away.
Oh,
but
okay.
then I came out of a huge depression and like really found myself and like like I said before, like I found my passion in my job and I was happy, and then like haven't needed it until like now, and I guess I've just like, along with self-isolating, have just felt isolated. I've pushed away a couple people that are really close to me in my family. When I had my insanity moment, actually like 20 days ago.
What was the insanity moment? What happened that made you push people away?
Along with like the stress of being out of work and just like living in like this apartment we're gonna be out of soon. I'm gonna be out of soon. I've been living with me and my brother have lived together ever since we graduated. So, and we have an okay relationship, but I kind of like blew up about some stuff, just like family troubles, which is like always been a thing, but like we always get past it. But like, even if I was like right about something, like I crossed the line, and like I did some very regrettable things that, like, I didn't really hurt him in any way, I just kind of like blew off the handle majorly.
What'd you do? This is anonymous. I'm not tracking anything.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm kind of like, I did go to grab him and, like, got frustrated and just like, wanted to kick his ass kind of, like, man, I just wish you could understand me. And that's like not me at all, which is so crazy because like I've never done anything like that before. And, like that's my little brother, like he was the only person I didn't want to like leave me, like we've been together ever since, we've been like independent and self-sufficient, just me and him. And in trying, I guess, to like get someone to understand that like I'm dealing with a lot of stuff on my own and I don't want to be abandoned, I kind of like feel like I forced that on myself.
Right.
And that's shitty. It's very frustrating to realize that, you know. And that's when I like realized that I didn't want to hurt him, and I destroyed a lot of my things. Not, like, screw material possessions. I just kind of like had to have an outlet, but I didn't even realize what I was doing in the moment. I don't know. It was kind of like a blackout type, seeing red, as I guess people would say. But yeah, very, very scary. And
Sounds like it.
no, I just don't know. It feels like it's after all that, after I blew up, and even if I could get back to like being like I'm fine now, it's like I've already done a lot of things that like I can't change. So just gripping with like the consequences of my own actions.
Yeah, it sounds like it's eating you up.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like it happened really recently. Sounds like this was 20 days ago, you said.
Yeah, 20 days ago. It was the 29th.
You're counting the days. Are you...
Yeah.
Have you tried talking to your brother? What would you say to him?
After that happened, I went like, I got in my car, and then I just like drove for like 12 hours in a direction. And, like I stayed in a town. I slept in my car for a little while, just like kind of freaking out over like everything. But when I came back, like I apologized for what happened, and, he said he didn't really have much to say. And he moved out 2 days ago, and he really just didn't want to talk to me. He was, just in the process of getting all his stuff out of the apartment. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like even if I did want to talk to him, he wouldn't want to talk to me,
Well, some time might need to pass.
But that might all be in my head too, That might just be.
I think people always want to hear their experience validated. I think it's part of the reason people call in here. I think it's part of the value of it. I think there's what I'm getting at is that your brother, it might take time, first of all. You might just need to let some time pass since this was so recent. But it sounds like your brother, would really love to hear you say something like, I hear a lot of regret in your voice, and I bet your brother would be really relieved to hear that regret in your voice. And it might take time. Maybe tomorrow is not the day to do it. Maybe you let a few weeks go by. But maybe you spend that time really thinking about what you would say to him. Maybe start writing a letter now. And don't send him the letter, but write a script of everything, all your regrets, everything you wish you would have done differently, and whittle it down so it's nice and short, and never send it to him, but just go memorize the general sense of it and go say it to him. Let him hear it in your voice that you're sorry, and don't just say sorry. Tell him what you regret and what you wish you would have said or done. Do you think that could help?
I think it would, and you're right. It might not be all better tomorrow, but like,
might not.
I don't want to push him either, and like be, do something messed up and then come back and be like, oh, I'm sorry,
Right.
And like, I do regret it, but I don't want to, immediately flip and be sorry for something that like he's not ready to, forgive me for.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
KO from the chat is recommending, on another note, some kickboxing or just regular boxing. Some kind of physical activity that you can take out any aggression on. We all have things like this we need to do to alleviate stress. Some people get it out through running. Some people get it out through boxing. Some people get it out through, I was about to say golf, but I don't think that applies here, actually. I think golf is kind of weak. Sorry, golfers. Do do you have some kind of physical activity you can get that stress out with, so that when you are in some kind of intense confrontation, you can conduct yourself and not take it out on the wrong person?
Yeah. Oh,
You do have something like that?
probably the
So,
best idea, especially with the like a physical outlet,
yeah. And I'm not,
relieve that stress.
I want to be very clear that I'm not judging you for the altercation you had with your brother. I don't know the full story. But you said that really surprised you. I might be putting word. I don't know if you put it that it surprised you, but I remember you saying it kind of came at you. You've never been that way before, and then it sounds like that really alarmed you that you went to that place, and so,
Never in my life, really.
yeah, and again, your 20s are a really rough time, and parts of ourselves can come out we didn't know were there, and so don't be too hard on yourself. I mean, like, your 20s are you're lucky you're in your I don't want to say lucky, but you're fortunate that you're in your early 20s, and that you're having this altercation with your brother. It'd be a lot worse if you were 50. I know I keep jumping to the 50-year-olds, but if you were 50 and grabbed your brother, that's a much bigger problem. I mean, you
wouldn't want to be.
Yeah, you and your brother.
Fully grown.
You and your brother, I think, are going to figure this out. I know he moved out of the apartment, and that's got to be really heartbreaking, and also probably really challenging, I'd imagine. If you're living on your own and paying the bills on your own, I'm not sure how that's impacting you. But I do think if you just let some time pass, and maybe use that time in a productive way to write something heartfelt, make it honest, make it raw, and validate how you think he must feel, and then just go tell him. And I'm almost certain that he will want to reconcile. I mean, he's your brother.
Yeah.
You said he's your younger brother, right?
Recently, I'll probably use that as my outlet, I guess.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Since I haven't written recently, I guess I'll probably use that as my outlet.
Good. Yeah, good. Great. Yeah, it took a lot of bravery to call in and share that, even if it's anonymous. It took a lot of bravery to call in and talk about something like that. That's commendable.
Yeah, honestly, like, within the last couple of days, I'd seen your streams, like, pop up in my feed, but, like, your stream was already over, and I was, like, thinking to myself, like, man, you really haven't talked to anybody in, like, the last half a month, like, and it does feel kind of weird because it's, like, I'm over here reaching out to, like, someone who I've never met, and, like, feels really strange to kind of just, like, put myself out there, but, like, I did feel like it was the right thing to do, especially to kind of, like, I guess, get something off my chest,
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes a good cry is a good pressure valve. It's a good way to release some pressure. Yeah, I could tell when you called in there was a lot of pressure. It's actually strange because when you first called in, you sounded like you were masking the pain really well. And the deeper and deeper we got into the story, you really just started letting it go. And I think that's really good. And I hope you have other people you can call or rely on, like friends or more therapy even. I guess what I'm saying is I hope you don't make this just a 20-minute phone call with us and me in the chat here, and that you open up to others about this and get more support. And because this is going to be maybe, this is going to take some time and you might need more help. The Discord would be a good place for you to get some of that, but I'm wondering if you have a close friend or something that you can see face to face sometimes and share.
Well, with the whole, like, friend thing, and this, like, ties back into everything, really, like, not that I, like, don't have friends, I just, like, I'm a homebody, and, like, I come home and like I relax, and I don't like being like overstimulated after work and everything. So like I'm on Discord all the time, and like the only real person I talk to is my friend James online, and like we've never met each other, but like he's been my best friend for like almost 3 years now. And like we would talk like almost every day, if not every day, and like there's nights we would like stay up until like 6 a.m. and just like talk about shit. And he likes fantasy stuff, and he likes writing, and we used to play D&D together. And that never really happens anymore, And like my brother's a part of this friend group as well, and like it is like some type of karmic justice that I'm kind of getting like this backlash from it. But obviously everybody in like that friend group where they all hang out as well, like heard about what happened, and I didn't want to talk to anybody myself, so
Right.
they heard it from him. And
Right.
it just seems like I've tried to talk to him within the past couple of days, and like maybe even have a conversation like this, but he hasn't really like wanted to talk to me, and that's really frustrating too.
Well, it's really hard to know
Because,
what's going on the other side of a computer screen when we have a friend like that. Don't read too
Yeah.
much into that. You can't carry that weight. That's heavy. Maybe
for sure.
you don't know what that person's going through. It could be any number of reasons.
Yeah.
Also, even really close friends don't always have it within themselves to help us carry heavy things we're going through. Like, that's why we're creating these resources like this Discord, where the specific focus is people who need to just talk about hard stuff, real stuff. I mean, we live in this world where algorithms curate dopamine, and everything's a feel good, everything is peppy. And I was in Walgreens yesterday, I was checking out, and I was just like looking at all the magazines of all these like people like just like with these crazy expressions on their faces. I was just like, wow, like this is the world we live in. Like it's just everything's so loud, and
Yeah.
and you might need a place
The
where
noise is a lot.
what's that?
The noise is a lot,
There's a lot of
like
noise, yeah. And so that's
Yeah.
why we're doing this. I'm so glad you called in. Consider joining the Discord. It's a nice, chill place. Everyone's really nice. We're building out more channels for people to talk about specific things. There's not many there yet, but there will be. I'm all ears for suggestions, by the way. This is to you, the caller, and also the rest of the chat. I've seen a couple mentions of potentially getting some more channels for specific topics. If there are specific topic recommendations for that Discord, please feel free to leave them in the Discord in the general chat, and the mods and I'll be considering those. So to you, the caller, thanks again for sharing tonight, and I really hope you join us in the Discord. It's becoming a really great place for people to just be real and kind of get away from some noise and just talk about hard things. We're in a world that's getting harder and harder to talk about real things. So I hope you'll join us there. Is there anything
I
else?
definitely will. This is, besides all my issues going on right now, I would like to say, and this is something that like inspired my writing, like really kicked it into gear a while back. And I won't mention any specific locations. I'll keep it anonymous.
Thank
But
you.
I do remember about, I guess it was 6 years ago now. I met your mom. She came to my school and she gave me a free class to her creative writing online thing. And that is, she showed me that she believed in me and believed in like me wanting to pursue being a writer. And I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, I'm thankful for you too. I appreciate everything you've done over the years. So
Thank you so much for your support and for sharing so vulnerably tonight. That took a lot of courage and probably a lot of energy, I would imagine. I mean, you probably need to go rest for a little bit after a cry
I'm a
like
little
that.
exhausted now for sure.
But that's you're a beautiful person to call in and just be that vulnerable, even if it's anonymous, to be able to acknowledge that you did something you regret and to say specifically what it was. That takes a lot of courage. So, forgive yourself for that and give your brother some time and be strategic with that time while you have it to make some good come out of this. Some good can come out of this.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Thank you, Julian.
Thanks
I
for calling.
appreciate what you do.
Take care of yourself.
I'll let you get to the next caller. Seriously.
Thanks for calling. Call
I'll
back
join the
anytime.
Discord. Thank you.
Take care. All right, guys, we're going to take one more caller for tonight. I'm assuming we'll get into something kind of long, but, who knows? Maybe it's a couple short calls. Let's see what happens. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hi, thanks for calling. What do you want to talk about?
So I wouldn't say this is a sad thing as it is anger.
Okay.
I am married. I have been for over a decade. And right now, my husband, we have several kids, and he told me last minute he was going to be out for dinner, and he's pulled this on me many times. I know it's not cheating. I think it's an alcohol thing.
Oh, okay.
And he says he was out with work people, and he'll text me throughout the evening, and it's just like this has been going on for 4 hours now, and he's like, I'm about to leave. I'll come home soon.
Wait,
and
he's
he
gone
does this
right
all the
now?
time. He's not. He's still out.
Okay. And you think he's out drinking right now?
Oh, I know he is.
Does he know you
Yeah.
know that, or have you just deduced this from his behavior?
So where they went this time was a restaurant/bar. It's open until like 11, but then it's closed now. And then I know that he said he was bringing the guys that were in from out of town to like a restaurant, dropping them off, but they're at a bar now. We have the phone tracking thing that we can track each other.
Okay.
This is a known thing. It's a. But
So
anyway,
he knows you can see where he
this
is.
has happened. Yes.
Okay, I see.
And he knows that I know where he is. He's been texting me, but I guess I'm just so tired because it's just like this happens so much. And I just get so angry.
So you're angry at your husband for being out to all hours of the night? Is that right?
Right, because like it's a Thursday night, right? We have a kid that has school tomorrow. He told me the work night thing, and he wasn't going to be out late, and I said okay, and this has happened probably 15 times in the last 5 years. Like it happens a lot, and so I don't know. I'm like, am I crazy? Like for feeling like this, or
15 times in the last 5 years he's stayed out too late drinking?
at minimum, I would say at minimum 15 times, yeah. And where it wasn't going to be at, that's not why he was out, but then it turned into that.
I see. So it's kind of some dishonesty going on. It's not just that he's
Yes.
out. He's saying he's going to dinner and then he's coming back drunk.
Yes.
I see.
Exactly. And then like he gets home and I confront him about it, which part of me is like, that is not the time to confront in those moments.
No, it's definitely
That's
not.
not.
That's some good strategic
Not
thinking.
productive. But I guess I don't have the self-control to not say something just because I'm so frustrated. But it's just like I don't know what to do anymore. Like it's so, I don't know. like there's a trust thing there, and as long as I know that my personality type can be a little controlling, but it's I don't feel like that is unreasonable for me to be like, okay, you said you'll be home a little after dinner, but here we are, and you're an hour drive away, and it's going to be like 1 a.m. before you get home.
I
Like, it's
see.
just, I don't think I'm crazy for that, but I don't know.
How old are you?
I'm 33,
33. And you said you have several kids. How many is several?
4.
You have 4 kids. Okay, yeah. And so you're,
Babies and up.
okay, how old's your oldest?
5.
Yeah, wow. So you got, wow. So your 5-year-old's in
Yeah.
school. You have one in school, I guess, and are there any in preschool?
Yeah, I've got a preschooler and then twin babies.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So is it the dishonesty, or is it that he's not around helping with the kids, like preparing for the next school day? I mean, you mentioned that it was only 15 times in the last 2 years or 5 years, so it makes me think this is more of like a dishonesty thing and not so much that he's not, I'm assuming he's around the
Right.
rest of the time. Is that, what's the real issue?
Yeah, so it's just been like compounding through years because this has been going on since before, I guess it's been longer than 5 years. But it's been going on probably since our first was born, and he had worked so many hours. It's just the nature of his job, and he has a long drive to go to work, and so the amount of time that he's home, those hours are so limited that he gets to see our kids, awake because, they're little, so they go to bed early. But, yeah, so it's partly that, and it's also just like it is a lot of the dishonesty. And I also just wonder if, he's always been kind of prone to over drinking in the presence of friends, I guess. And so I think it's just all of it. And then getting in his car and driving home. Like I just like the all of it is just it
Is he
bothers
drunk
me.
driving himself home?
He has.
Is he an alcoholic?
And see, that's I don't fully know. I know there's different titles of that, right? There's like functioning ones and all that.
Does he abuse
Day-to-day,
it? Does he abuse
have
alcohol?
have to drink. He does. He will abuse it, and it seems like if he's not in my presence, then he goes wild. Like I don't know if he just feels like a trapped bird at home with like kids, and then he just wants something to go do. It just seems like it's the wrong way to do it, and then he's dishonest about it.
Does he ever make time for himself to get out, hang with friends? I mean, everybody needs time to get out. I mean, kids are a lot.
Sure.
People without kids don't understand how much of an investment kids are. I've got 3 kids, so I can relate to an extent. And I'm wondering, like, do you guys both get enough time out of the house? Do you guys take time? And are there times that he goes out and does things and is honest about what he's doing? Is it just that he's lying and going out and getting hammered? Does he go out other times? Does he get any other times, or is he? I'm trying to figure out if these 15 times in the last 5 years are the only times he's been out, or if it's just that he's lying.
Right.
5 years is a while.
I get you. Yeah, no. So this is like he doesn't get out enough. But here's kind of our thing. So he works a ton, right? And then on the weekends he's home a lot. But then whenever he does go out with friends, and it's not often with friends. We're fairly isolated because we kind of live out in the middle of nowhere, and he drives really far to work.
Okay.
So then, like with the time that he's not driving in at work, then there's not as much time here, and so that's why. I mean, part of me understands. Like he just I don't know, it's kind of maybe a poor analogy, but like the pastor's kids are the worst kids. He's not a pastor's kid, but you know what I mean? Like it's like he gets out and then he goes
Easy. I'm a
crazy.
pastor's kid.
Like, you're a pastor's kid? Oh, okay.
Take it easy.
Sorry.
I'm joking. That's a joke. So I am listening. I couldn't resist. I apologize.
No. But so I mean, like I kind of feel like, I mean, he may as well been a pastor's kid almost. But anyways, yeah. So I think that maybe he just goes crazy. But it's really hard whenever I talk to him like, okay, before he goes, he'll be like, I'm not gonna drink that much. Maybe just have one beer or something, and then there's no way you're having one beer across like the time span of 5 to 6 hours at a bar. Like this is
right.
And then you come home, because I'm like, I want to trust him, I want to, and then it happens like I expect it will happen every time, and that's just such a letdown, like it's just. And then I get mad, and then I feel my crazy coming out, which I'm not like it's like the side of me that's just like it just feels like it's ramping up, like I'm just getting more and more upset because he's doing the same thing over and over and telling me he won't. It's just
well, I want to be really careful.
Shaking like I'm so upset.
Yeah, I can hear it. I want to be really very careful because I don't know the situation. All I know is what you've shared.
Right.
And you are under a lot. You've got 4 kids under the age of 5. And there are some interesting areas of nuance in the story I've heard. I'll very carefully just tell you what I'm thinking. And you tell me where I'm wrong. Your husband going out 15 times in the last 5 years, as I kind of hinted at earlier, doesn't seem to be the issue. It seems to be the dishonesty thing. I would venture to guess that you would be totally fine with your husband going out more than 15 times in the last 5 years to go do anything so long as he was honest about it. Is that right?
I guess I should clarify. The 15 times that I'm talking about is where he said he's going to do one thing and he does the opposite. That is not inclusive of how many times he's been out.
So it's just the dishonesty thing.
Sorry?
So it's just that he's being dishonest and then abusing alcohol.
That's the number that kind of I'm talking about. Yeah, that like where it started out as one thing and it turned into just like an all night doing the opposite of what he's saying, oh, I'm about to leave, and then it's been another 2 hours, and it just feels like disrespectful, but then I also want to respect his time. So then it just feels like where's the balance in all of this, and am I just losing my mind? Like yeah.
Does your husband drink at home, and is he sloshed when he's at home, or is he functioning? Is it?
It happened a couple of times, and then while our kids were a little bit younger and unaware, and I told him at that point, we're not doing that in front of our kids. Like, they don't need to see that. And then he pretty much stepped back. So the most that they'll ever see now is if we have, like myself included, a glass of wine with dinner or something, like, so that they, I don't know, I just don't want our 5-year-old to see him, right now Dad's a superhero, and I just don't want to, we don't want to hurt that image in any way. And so at home, it's much more limited.
I see. So is it possible that he is, I mean, you're being very careful. I asked you if he was an alcoholic, and you were really hesitant to answer that directly. You did admit.
I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure.
You did say he's abusing it, but I'm thinking like, okay, so if he feels, I'm just trying to help you figure this out. If he feels constrained at home, I mean, a glass of wine with dinner, that's not excessive, obviously.
Right.
I think I'm not encouraged. There's a bunch. I'm trying to be very careful for not just for you, but also in the chat, because I realize in the chat there's people struggling with alcoholism. So
Right.
I'm trying to be very careful, but it's my
Yeah.
opinion, and this is just based on science I've read. I'm not a scientist. That if you have 2 glasses of wine or 2 drinks in a night, that's like the limit before you're hurting your body. Like anything after 2 drinks, you're hurting your body. So I'm wondering, like, if there's some kind of like ration around the alcohol that he thinks he has to escape the house for to get, and maybe that's why he's being dishonest about it. And are there? It sounds like he's having a lot more
Right.
than 2 drinks though when he goes out. So maybe he's an alcoholic. I don't know.
He definitely is having more than 2. I know that, because one, the tone of his speech, I know what he sounds like at all the different levels, and so, like, we've been together for so long now. I pretty much have seen him in all his phases and everything. And at home, yeah, we're kind of like, yeah, let's not do more than 2. And when he goes out, he says he will not do more than 2, but he 95% of the time does at least double that, and comes home. And whenever he's upset, he has never, I'll preface this, he's never laid a hand on me. He's not violent, but he gets very defensive and upset and a little bit dramatic, that I'm controlling or accusing him of alcoholism. And so, I know there's probably like this gray area in between of, I don't know, before being a full-blown alcoholic. But yeah, he definitely, I mean, I don't know. I think what it comes down to is him saying one thing, doing another. And I've always been such like a rule follower, and he's always been such the not rule follower. And so that probably has a lot to do with this as well.
Right.
But
well, I will
but
say,
I guess just saying the one thing and not doing what you're saying, like, it feels disrespectful to our marriage.
Right.
Like it just,
I can see that. Yeah, it's disrespectful to you. It's disrespectful to the marriage. It breaches trust. You did touch on something there a second ago. I want to say something about that resonated with me. You mentioned that you're more the rule follower and he's more the free spirit. And, that is, in my experience, like what, that I'll put it in terms of a question instead. Is that what attracted to you? Is that possibly one of the main things that attracted you to him in the first place, was like that he was different from you in that way?
Probably. I mean, probably.
Because if there's one thing marriage is, if there's one thing that's really easy in marriage, it's taking for granted the thing that first attracted you to your partner. It's really easy to do in marriage. And there's a bunch of stuff. John Gottman, who is a psychologist in marriage, relational expert, that I referenced earlier. It's a lot of his work I'm reporting and regurgitating to you when I say that. Would highly recommend maybe reading some John Gottman books. I don't know which one. There's so many now. Maybe just check out the Gottman Institute. It's GOTTMAN Institute.com. There's a bunch of great books and even counseling resources. Maybe you and your husband need some therapy, or maybe not. Maybe it's not even that serious. Is it possible that you could just go to him and say, hey, look, like, I understand you want to get out and cut loose and have a break from the house. And I understand, like, at home, we're not drinking in front of the kids really, and you want to go out and have a good time with your friends sometimes. But I'm really concerned that you're drunk driving. And I'm really concerned that I'm even more concerned that you don't feel like you can be honest with me about what you're doing. Like, don't you think I know you're out there just drinking all night?
Right.
You know, do you feel like that you could have that kind of a conversation with your husband one-on-one, or do you think you would need some kind of counselor to mediate that?
Right. So we've actually had that conversation, and it's so night and day from like the day or two around when it happens to like a couple days later, and I guess he's processed it. And then he'll go the other extreme. He'll be like, "Yeah, maybe I should just stop drinking for a while." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know that that's a realistic thing to just quickly throw out there, like kind of going one extreme to another. I don't know if like it should be a snap decision to say that, because I think you're setting yourself up for failure to just kind of be like out of to try to solve my problem. It feels like is what he's saying it for, like to resolve it with me versus like is that intentionally something that he is wanting to do for himself. And so like we've had that conversation and round, and I pretty much always expect that it'll just happen again, which is kind of sad because like that's just not, I don't like having that in the back of my mind that he's gonna let me down again based off of what he said, and so we've had those conversations. He recognizes, yeah, he shouldn't drive like that, but the it's just like his personality is just ever so changed as anybody's when they've had alcohol.
Right.
And so we've had these conversations lots of times, and um we mentioned therapy. I even had reached out to a therapist and found one, and was going to schedule a time, and then he was like, I don't know, and then like backed out of wanting to do that. And
I see.
so I don't know if
That's a
there's like
red
a pride
flag.
level there for both of us. I'm not sure.
When someone doesn't want therapy, that's a red flag. Almost always, in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you've tried asking him, or rather sharing with him how it affects your trust for him when he's dishonest with you. Does he know how that rocks your trust for him and the trust in the marriage?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can tell. I probably am like a major let's talk about the problems person, but he's more of a like if when a fight happens, a lot of people are like either process it and sleep on it or talk it out. And I'm a talk it out as much as possible right away, and he's a processor. And so I've definitely like word vomited all of these thoughts and feelings on him, and it kind of comes across, I'm sure, like I'm preaching or teaching or lecturing or whatever you want to call it to him.
Interesting.
Just because I just feel like I've got all these things that I have to let him know how I'm feeling, because otherwise if I don't say it, then it doesn't do anything. But it seems like I do say it, it doesn't do anything, so it's just circular.
Well, I wonder, let's dig more into that. I wonder if you've you mentioned that you've tried word vomit. You're afraid it comes across as word vomiting to him, and that's never productive, obviously, word vomiting.
No.
I wonder if you've tried writing out what it is you want to say, really working on it and thinking about it, and never showing him the letter, but writing something out as if it were a presidential address, something really calm and respectful and productive, and kind of memorizing the general essence of it, and then going to him with something really concise. Have you tried something like that instead of word vomiting?
Well, I've done writing and I've done word vomiting, but I've never tried that one in between. So I mean,
Okay.
That would be worth trying. I mean, that's a good thought process, because I am more of a writer I'm a little bit more concise writing than speaking. So that's a good idea.
There's a bunch of good ideas in the chat too, but again, I'm trying to be very careful with what I say because this is dense and I don't know the full situation, and I'm also not qualified to shrink you. So,
I get you.
But I resonate with a lot of what you're saying, and I'm concerned about the fact that your husband's not being honest about where he is, even though you know where he is and what he's doing. Concerned that he's abusing the alcohol, and I could tell that's really weighing on you. Do you get any time to do anything for yourself? That was a question I saw from the chat earlier that I'm only just now getting to.
Not lately. I mean, because we have twin babies, and frankly, they're overwhelming to almost everyone. And so, I mean, not very often. I know that like this weekend is going to be the first. We're actually going to get a night away to go to like a concert and stuff. For a night this weekend, and so I don't know. Maybe that would be a good time before if I wrote something down before then, because we'll have a lot of not kid time.
Right. And to be clear, I'm not suggesting you
But
show your husband the letter. That could be very.
oh no.
That could
That's
have the
not
opposite
what.
effect. Wait, you want me to read something? Like, you wrote
No,
something?
no, to write something
Right.
before it went, so I could think about it better. But as far as like for myself, it's because we have 4 kids. We have family that lives close by, and so they help. But I do feel guilty about asking almost anybody to do um, a lot of help, because they're a lot. You know, their ages,
Hmm.
they're little, they're a lot right now. And so no, I don't get to do as much either. He does considerably more than me, even though it's not that much more than me, for himself than I do. I guess.
Well, I wonder if there's an element of jealousy there, that he's getting to go off
Mm.
and do God knows what because he's lying about it,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you're not. And I wonder
Mhm.
what you can do to really take time for yourself. Like, I know that's hard having small kids. I have small kids. I know
Mhm.
that's really, really damn hard to take time for yourself.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
like, what can you do to get out of the house? I'm not calling you jealous, but I mean, like, I would be jealous if my partner was going out and I wasn't taking any time for myself. And I'm wondering what you can do to. I'm sure if your
Right.
husband's going out all that time, he'll reciprocate. If he loves you, he'll let you go out too. I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not actually sure because I don't know him, and it sounds like he's lying. But I mean, if he's if he's a
Right.
decent human being, I'm sure he would.
He is. Yeah, and he's thrown it out there, but I feel like it's easier said than done on a lot of that. He gets like real overwhelmed, and on the couple of times I may run out for an hour or two, I get like a lot of messages on how to do this and that, which again, I stay home with our kids, so I'm yeah, I do get a little envious sometimes, even if he gets to leave the house and go to work, and I'm, you know, dealing with toddler talk endlessly. But so yeah, no, there's probably a level of jealousy or envy there. But
I only mentioned that because you said anger earlier.
oh yeah, no, it's angry. I feel anger because it's just like I guess it all boils down to the trust thing. Like when you say one thing and you don't do it, and it happens over and over, and you say sorry, and I'm not going to do that again, and then you do it again. Like it's just, oh, it just revs up. Like I get so upset, and
Right.
then I start feeling like I'm a crazy wife for getting upset about this. Like I don't want to seem like I don't want to be selfish, but I also feel like there's a level of safety, respect, and responsibility that just aren't there.
Right. Well, maybe you feel like someone's got to hold down the fort, and if he's out,
Mm.
even if it's just 15 times a year or 15 times every 5 years that he's being dishonest
Mhm.
about this, maybe there's like some kind of,
Mhm.
if your trust has been shaken, maybe you've been kind of backed into this corner of feeling like someone's got to hold down this fort because I don't know when I can trust my husband. Um, I'm not saying that's
Well, that's
exactly what
probably
I'm
totally
hearing.
true. No, that sounds fairly close, which is probably why I have a hard time even letting him take the kids for more than a couple hours, because I just feel like he's going to be in over his head. It probably affects trust on a lot of different aspects in our life, um,
Right.
as far as like what I think he can handle. I totally trust him with our kids as far as like he loves them and protect them, will never hurt them type thing. Like it's not a that thing.
Okay. That's
It's
good.
it's just more of, I don't know. See, there's aspects of me that are controlling, and I recognize that, and I'm working on it. But I just can't get over this scenario that happens. You know.
It's got to be annoying.
So
Just like you're like, come on, man. I
it
know
is.
where you are. You think I'm
Yeah.
stupid? Like it's got to be annoying. And
Right.
I
It
get
is.
that you're angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I can't sleep knowing that you're gonna potentially get in a car
Right. You're
and
concerned. You're
drive.
angry.
Like I need to be on the phone with you to know that you're awake and safe. And so I'm not going to sleep until you get home, and then I gotta deal with little kids again tomorrow. So it's just like so many things. I know there's like so many angles to this, and it's
Yeah.
a lot. But
Well, I can tell you really love and admire your husband, and I think that's amazing that you haven't lost that, even though there's been 5 years of some hard things. I will say that, you guys are just. How old's your youngest? I'm guessing they're like a baby.
they're 8 months old.
Okay,
They're
yeah.
twins, yeah.
So just please know that, and I'm not saying this as somebody who's like, I'm not a grandparent or anything. I'm not looking back on, my oldest is going to be 9 this year. So I'm not like completely out of the woods with like small children.
Right.
But my point is that like after the age of 4, as I'm sure you've noticed with your 5-year-old, your kid becomes very self-sufficient, and you guys are coming into a season where your younger 3 are going to be requiring much less of you, and the older they get, it'll only be more so. And they'll also have each other as playmates to entertain themselves, and you'll have less to do on that front as well. You won't have to entertain them all the time. My point is that
right at the end of this baby now,
you guys are under a lot, so I hope you guys can give each other a lot of grace and respect for each other, and respect for the things you don't see in each other's lives. I know that tears a lot of marriages apart, and I'd hate to see that happen to you guys, because it can be so easy to just look into the other partner's life. It's this invisible, it's not invisible, it's opaque. It's like this opaque wall, and you can't see through it. It's like, what is going on in their world? When they're gone at work, or when they're off with their friends, or when they're feeling like they have to sneak away to catch a break from the house. I hope that doesn't breed any resentment between you guys, and that you can just both acknowledge. It may even bring you closer together if you can both acknowledge, like, hey, this is really hard, and maybe that'll bring you closer together somehow. I'd love to hear that you guys have made some steps in that direction for the sake of your marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I'll look into the stuff you've said, and I really do like that idea of writing it down without showing him, and then talking.
Yeah, that's
to
for
him.
you.
And hopefully this weekend, where we're both kind of away. This is the first time I'll be away from the children, like a couple of years.
You're gonna get a break.
So,
Great.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it'll just be better in general. I don't know. It's just it's good to talk things out, and because like I don't want to go to like any of his friends or like my parents. I don't ever want to damage his image unnecessarily. It's like I'm not in danger or anything.
Isn't it sad that that's how it is?
I want to protect him. And
yeah. It's so sad to me that's how it is, that people can't just leave reputations out of things. Like people's reputations ought not be destroyed by things they're going through. It's just so that's part of the theme of this show is like, can we all just listen? Can we all just understand life is hard sometimes and not judge each other for it?
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like I'm afraid that someone would judge him improperly, and I'm like, but he's not actually a bad guy. He's actually a really good guy.
Great.
But it's just there's some crappy things that happen, and it's getting on my nerves, and I'm going a little upset sometimes. But anyways.
Right.
So okay.
Check out John Gottman, the Gottman Institute. It's actually he and his wife run it together, the Gottman Institute, and they are amazing. If you haven't heard of them, they have a book for pretty much every relational struggle you can think of. That's why I'm hesitating picking one here, because I don't want to lead you to the wrong one. But go to the Gottman Institute website, look at the resources page, I believe it is, and you should see a bunch of books. Any one of them is amazing. That guy, he and his wife, not to just single him out, I believe he started it, but now he and his wife run it together. That couple, they are baller. They are baller. Yeah. They're legit.
Awesome. Well, I'm bad with people's names, so I may like recognize it whenever I come across something.
You may recognize some books. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely check it out and see. I really appreciate the suggestion. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for calling and sharing. I love seeing the chat light up with a call like yours. There's a lot of great ideas you can revisit in the chat. And I know you're very busy and you have kids, but if you want more ideas, you can join us in the Discord. That is an active community that goes when these live streams are not going. So great place to get ideas.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking my call, and you chilled me out a little bit
Good.
talking through this, so I really appreciate it, and thanks for the ideas, and I'll look into those other things. So thank you, Julian.
Take care and try to have some fun.
All right, will do.
Bye. All right, guys. That was another great night. What an amazing... It's just... It's like the stories never run out. There's always people going through things that they're just so inspiring to hear. I hope I'm not alone in thinking that. But it's just amazing, these calls tonight. Like, that must have been a record for the fewest amount of calls in any of these streams so far. I love that people are finally kind of picking up on the theme of what this show is, and that we're not toasting as many people, and that we were able to really quickly get to some really, what felt like some really meaningful calls. And I want to thank the chat. I could tell the chat had double toast duty tonight. There were so many people getting put in timeout. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people don't know what they're coming into here. At least they're not calling in. At least they're leaving it in the chat. But huge thank you to Noda and Jake Cooper and Offcore from the chat for squashing them trolls from the chat. You guys are legendary. I've plugged the Discord a number of times, but I'll plug it again. If you haven't checked it out, go join us there. It's been awesome. I pop in every now and then to see what's up and say hi. If you have any suggestions for that place, I'm all ears. I'm not very good at Discord, so I might need some ideas. But it has already been a place people have been using really in an awesome way. It's so inspiring to see. So thank you guys for kind of taking that over and making it your own. Thank you for being here tonight, for sticking with me for the full 3 hours. For those of you who did, I see a bunch of people in here who were here since the beginning. It's amazing to see that. That is why we do this. You guys are awesome. And we will be doing this again on Sunday at 9 p.m. Central. I will see you guys then. Take care.